And this Committee of Finance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Here.
Present.
Present.
Here.
Thank you so much. Ms. Sabin or Ms. Odie Martins, can you read the opening?
Page 96, Cleveland Municipal Court, Judicial, Administrative and Presiding Judge Michelle D. Early. Page 100, Salaries and Wages, 2024 unaudited, $13,458,003. 2025 budgeted, $14,827,329. Page 101, total expenditures, 2024 unaudited, $23,559,328. 2025 budgeted, $26,835,705. And page 104, number of employees December of 2024, 215. Budgeted 2025, 254. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Finance Director, did you have any opening statements before we turn it over to the judge?
Through the chair to the committee, we have no opening statements. We're open to questions.
Thank you. Judge, did you want to weigh in if you could?
Yes. Good morning, Council President Griffin and the distinguished members of City Council. I am Michelle Early, Administrative and Presiding Judge of the Cleveland Municipal Court. Also present with me today, we have Deputy Court Administrator Mike Negres at the table, and I have my Deputy Court Administrator Tracy Gonzalez is sitting in the back of me, Finance Director Michelle Kinney sitting next to me. I also have my distinguished colleague, one of the senior members of the court, Judge Patton is here with me today, as well as Judge Okar is here. I also have my HR Director, Greg Kennedy, is here. The Public Defender, who is one of our important partners, Cullen Sweeney, is here. I'm sure we have a representative for the Oriana House, or they're coming, and then we have my Public Information Officer is here as well, and I have my Chief Magistrate, Lynn Murray, is here. I would like to begin by thanking Cleveland City Council for its continued support. We pride ourselves on our innovation in being a problem-solving court, but this is only made possible by the support we receive from this body. Because of you, we are able to lead in bail reform, pretrial services, specialized dockets, specialized responses to domestic violence, and many other innovative programs. The court recognizes the obligation it must cautiously shepherd the funds that the taxpayers have entrusted to us, and we have lived within the budget that has been provided by this body. To lead as a court, we must be aware of our place with Cuyahoga County and the overall American justice system. In this regard, we take pride in knowing that on all levels, the Cleveland Municipal Court is a recognized leader. Our focus is on doing what is right and just for the people that we serve. Imposing penalties or fines is only the starting point of our service to our community. In order to provide true justice, we look for the underlying causes of crime and work to provide solutions for those who want them. If they so choose, individuals who appear before the court can turn their issues into opportunities to turn their lives around. Our court is able to provide these opportunities because of your continued support. Through 2024, we remain committed to ensuring that no individual spend a night in jail unnecessarily, conducting arraignment court in courtroom 3D 6 days a week. The operations of our pretrial services department continued as it previously has. In 2024, 5,433 public safety assessments were conducted for every violent misdemeanor offense and all felony offenses coming through 3D, resulting in pretrial service assignments for 1,633 individuals, which was an increase from 1,543 individuals in 2023. Out of all the individuals monitored by pretrial service, 95% of them had no criminal activity while their cases were pending. Additionally, 95% of them had no court-supervised release violations while the case is pending, and that means that they had no exclusion zone violations or tampering with device violations. These numbers have remained consistent through the last couple of years, with a steady increase in the number of individuals with no court-supervised release violations while their case is pending. Individuals that would have otherwise remained in jail were able to be released because of the amazing work of our pretrial services department staff, led by Ronald Hampton in partnership with the Oriana House, who is also present today, I believe. Additionally, the court has over 600 registered warrants, of which over 400 are felony offenses. The court has began a process to summons those individuals to court with the assistance of the Public Defender's Office to avoid dangerous encounters with the police and to allow the individuals involved in the case to get justice. The court will be conducting this docket every Friday until all of these cases until everyone has an opportunity to appear. Regarding new case filings, and I actually have a copy before I leave of this presentation because there's a lot of numbers in it, so I have a copy for all the council members, Council President. Regarding total case filing, there are roughly 38,776 new criminal and civil cases filed in 2024. In comparison, there are a total of 36,178 criminal and civil case filings in 2023, which is an increase of over 2,500 cases. Breaking down the case type, we had 3,796 new felonies filed, which is an increase from 3,353 in 2023. 5,343 new misdemeanors, which is an increase from 4,973 in 2023. And just a side note to the Council President, to Councilman Plinzik through the Council President, that's 99 new minors curfew tickets in 2024. 884 new driving under the influence cases, which is an increase from 827 in 2023. 19,266 new traffic offenses, non-OVI, non-driving under the influence offenses, an increase from 19,207. 8,663 new civil case filings, which is an increase from 7,772, which is pretty significant for our civil case filings, and 824 new small claim cases, which is an increase from 746 in 2023. The court continued to encourage online access to justice. We had over 3,600 individuals utilize our website to resolve their businesses with the court. This includes entering not guilty pleas, entering guilty plea waivers, and requesting time to pay. This number has remained consistent. Through our website, we also received 4,125 requests for public defender assistance. That is an increase from 3,121, so over 1,000 additional requests for public defender cases through our website. We had a big year for expungements and sealing of records in 2024. In 2024, the court expunged or sealed 2,795 cases, which is a lot of cases because the law requires us to have our probation department do an investigation on every single one of those cases before they can come in front of the court. To note for the council, that is, of that number, 2,007 of those were marijuana cases that have been sealed and or expunged. In 2022, the court received, that's not it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We are continuing to encourage the use of our civil e-filing on our website. As a result, we've seen a considerable increase in the traffic of our e-filing. Prior to 2023, we had limited participation in small claims mediation. The court renewed its mediation focus and hired a new mediation coordinator. The coordinator has been committed to assisting individuals in resolving their small claim cases without the need for a trial. In 2023, we had 59 cases that were resolved through mediation. In 2024, we had 245, so a significant increase in cases that were resolved through mediation. In our specialized docket, we had for our probation department, we supervised 3,013 individuals, which is an increase from 2,577 individuals, so over 500 new individuals on probation in 2024. Additionally, we provided services to 87 individuals through drug court, 64 individuals, and I am currently the drug court judge, 64 individuals through our mental health docket with Judge Suzanne Sweeney, 18 individuals through our veterans treatment docket, which is Judge Patton, who's at the table with me, and 8 individuals in our human trafficking docket, which is presided over by Judge Marilyn Cassidy. We provided language assistance to 1,911 individuals, of which Spanish-speaking individuals were 1,343 individuals. But in addition to that, we had 30 additional languages that our interpreters unit was able to assist in making sure they understood the court proceeding. our highlights and future plans. This is the second year we did Valentine's Day weddings at City Hall, so I saw a couple of you guys, but on Friday we had 49 couples come into City Hall and and get married. The Mayor Bibb also participated with the court on doing that. So we appreciate the ability to use the City Hall and the partnership with the mayor. In 2025, the court's goal is to do more community outreach. So if you have some things going on, please call us, let us know, and we'd love to partner with you. In 2022, there was over 200,000 new debt-related driver's license suspension in Ohio. From 2020 to 2024, there were over 95,000 new insurance-related suspensions in Cuyahoga County. In April of this year, a new driver's license suspension bill, House Bill 29, goes into effect. This bill reduces the number of ways your driver's license can be suspended. To inform the community, the court is planning to create a driver's license information sheet to inform the people of the changes, and we also plan to have informational clinics regarding the new law. We're also brainstorming the ideals for a resource center. In closing, the Cleveland Municipal Court continues to be an effective and efficient institution that delivers on its core functionalities while seeking innovative solutions to the problems presented by the individuals who depend on us in their search for justice. We strive to be a court that you can continuously be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then for those, Council President, for those numbers that the court recited in my opening remarks, I actually have copies for council, and then also I watched one of your proceedings regarding someone wanting to know the salaries regarding the openings, and I brought that as well. So if someone wanted the salaries, so I have the salaries for all of our positions and a copy of my remarks.
If we can give them to Inez,
Okay.
that would be great.
Thank you.
All right. I'll just go right into questions. Mike Plinsick and then Kerry McCormick.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues, the Judge Early, and all the members of the Cleveland Municipal Court that are here. I believe that, we are here at the table, and we have the viewing public always watching this from home. So there's a couple questions I wanted to ask that you could clarify. But I just wanted to say to this public, I appreciate the judge's engagement with not only myself but members of the body. She's always been courteous and engaged, and I certainly appreciate that greatly. And I'm glad to see my former colleague here sitting across from me, who's been a longtime friend, and I appreciate seeing you as always. So again, thank you for being here, Judge. On page 100, and also another dear friend of mine, Michelle Early, who is here, Michelle Kenny, excuse me. So again, I appreciate her engagement in my own community. So again, thank you for her attendance. On page 100, under professional services, again for the viewing public, what would that incorporate?
So we have. So for the professional services, that includes the public defender's contract.
Okay.
Court community, so that amount is $2,638,721, and we also get reimbursement for some of that as well.
Oh, you
so
do? Okay.
We do from the state.
Okay. And then again,
And for the court, and I'm sorry, there's two other things in there.
Yeah.
One is the court community work service.
yes.
And the other one is for the Oriana House, which allows us to do the pretrial services and the monitoring so that the individuals don't necessarily have to spend any unnecessary time in the jail.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. On page 101, again for the viewing public, under fines, forfeitures, and settlements, explain to the viewing public what would that incorporate? Those fines, forfeitures, and settlements.
So the fines would be the fines that are imposed by the judges, but not, so the number that you see, Council President, to the Councilman, is the collected amount, not necessarily the amount that the judges have imposed.
Okay.
So that's the collected amount, and then forfeiture would be forfeiture of a bond or any settlements that we have.
Okay. You touched on it briefly in your presentation. Curfew. Are those assigned to any one specific judge, or does all judges municipal court handle those cases?
So because of the rules of superintendent, they're assigned randomly to all of the judges.
Okay, so you've seen an uptick in enforcement of those cases coming into Muni Court?
Yes. So I think when I was here last year, the number was very small, almost
Ridiculously low. Be polite.
I didn't say that. So, but this year we have 99. So the majority of them are from Cleveland, but we actually did see a couple from CMHA and Case.
And I want to...
Small amount, but a little.
And again, I want to thank my colleagues for supporting the increased restrictions and penalties on curfew violations. I want to thank the police prosecutor for hearing the concerns that we expressed at this table about kids out in the middle of the night and involved in all kind of questionable activities, and nobody was being held accountable. None of their parents or guardians were being hauled into court. But I think that I attribute some of the decreases we're seeing in crime in some neighborhoods as a result of the curfew enforcement. So again, I wanted to thank you and your colleagues on the court. These quality of life issues are very important to us in the body.
And then, Councilman, the court doesn't mind providing you with an update later on in the year regarding resolution, if you like.
Yes.
Right now, it's a little early to have them all resolved,
Yeah.
but if at some point you want me to submit to the body some update, I could do that as well.
I would request that through the chair, and I appreciate that offer, because again, as we're all trying to address and looking at your budget and making sure that you are adequately funded, we want to make sure that that message is being sent collectively across the city as pertains to quality of life issues. So again, I want to thank you. I want to
kind of think it's two parts. So it's the writing of the citation, but also the handling of the case.
That's
so
right.
I will make
So I want to
sure
thank
we
you,
have
your
that
colleagues,
conversation.
Judge Patton, again, my former colleague, and Michelle Kenny for all the work, and all members of the court staff for what you do on behalf of our citizens. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Before I go to Councilmember McCormick, clarification. The public defender's office that's being paid for out of professional services, is the public defender a county, city, or independent position?
It's county.
So it's county?
Yes.
So we pay a contractual
contract with
service
them,
with the
yes.
public defender, which is Mr. Judge Sweeney, right?
Cullen Sweeney.
Judge Sweeney.
We-
And then we get
You can't make him a
reimbursed.
judge yet.
Oh, my fault, my fault.
I'm like, you're throwing that word
I've
around.
been, I've
like,
been around too
whoa.
long. I've been around 20 years ago. He was in the mix, but
And don't let them think it's that easy. I'm
but just trying to make sure I understand it, because somebody asked me yesterday, and you said the state pays a portion of that, right?
Yes, he can. He's here. That's why we brought him.
Thank you. Yeah, if he could.
Sorry, we don't want to guess because this is a significant that we're supposed to be getting money back. So it is an amount that you see taken out of our budget, but there is a
Put the
reimbursement.
mic close to you.
There's a reimbursement attached to that.
Yes, Council President Griffin, Cullen Sweeney, the county public defender. Yes, the contractual amount, the way that it basically works is that we bill the city for the amount of the contract, and then the county gets reimbursed. This past year, it was an average of 80% of that amount, and then that money is then passed through back to the city. So we have we've generally been reimbursing on a quarterly basis, the county has, and in the last contract, we shifted to doing monthly reimbursement, which we're still working out with the fiscal department. But the bottom line is the current reimbursement rate is 78%, but the average for last year was 80%. So 80% of the last year it was 2.5 something million. Would be reimbursed back to the city.
So just out of curiosity, where, and this is finance director question, when we get that reimbursement back, that's out of that 5 million, where do we apply it to? Just straight to the general fund?
To the council, to the chair, yes, to the general fund.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I verify where that money was coming back to. Okay, thank you. So in essence, just if I'm doing my fuzzy math, we pretty much are only paying then about 3 million in essence in professional services. If we're going to get reimbursed about 2.5, we're only really paying about 3 million in professional services in that line item, pretty much.
To the council, in summary, yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Councilman Kerry McCormick. And everybody, please excuse me, I'm fighting a little bit of cold today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. So, to the director, it appears that this budget is actually down from 24. Is that correct? So this is maybe one of the few
It is.
few
Thank you.
budgets.
Thank you.
Let me just call this judge out. Everybody already
don't
knows
call
I'm a
me
big
out,
fan.
because I have to go back to the courthouse.
I
Don't
said,
call me
you
out.
know,
Say that I'm being
everybody already
efficient.
knows
Like,
I'm a big fan
right, like,
of her
tighten your words
operation,
up a little
but
bit.
this might be the only department that we've seen chair apples to apples without shifting of positions that she is coming in under her previous budget. So I just want to, I know as, council president counts every single penny that comes through this building.
As do I.
Yes, we can see
As
that.
do I.
Well, we can see that. So I just wanted to, Mr. President, acknowledge that on the budget item, and to our CFO, of course. I know you're a big part of that as well.
Also, though, big
Yep.
picture, we understand like some of the things that are coming up
Yep.
regarding the court
Yep.
and the jail and some of the things that our city is going through, and we're part of the city, so
Yep.
we understand that. So the court's trying to manage that regarding handling our funds, because we understand. I mean, I've been at the meetings, you've been at the meetings.
Yep.
We know what that looks like, and the number's scary. So we
Yep.
want to make sure that we're managing the city's money efficiently as well, so that we're partners, so we don't.
Yep.
We're all one group, so we don't want to unnecessarily increase. If we can live within the budget, which we have done, then that's what we're asking for.
Thank you, Judge. And again, I just wanted to acknowledge that because I don't know, Mr. President, if we've seen that yet. in these
No, we
budget
haven't.
sessions.
And they didn't come and ask for $500,000 like some of these other.
Yeah,
organizations.
so,
I didn't know we were giving that out.
yeah, right, don't give her idea.
You're not.
Honest
You're
with
not.
you, we're not giving it out either. I just said that I asked for it. I didn't say that we were giving it. They asked for it.
I understand. We like-
So, Mr. President, I've reviewed the budget. That was the only budgetary comment I wanted to make, but allow me 30 seconds of personal privilege to again thank the judge and her team, our other judges here today. Lynn, who is a Ward 3 rock star with us today, too. I wanted to make sure she gets a shout out, but I do want to comment on this because I believe that our municipal courts are run very well. And, the work that you all do every day doesn't make headlines, it doesn't get acknowledged like it should, but not only do you run a good operation, especially in the last couple of years, as I've been really paying more attention, while you hold your judicial independence, and we know how important that is, you're responsive to the community. And I don't know that all judicial branches across the country could say that. So I just want to acknowledge the fact that you guys are not, sitting up in an ivory tower saying we don't need to learn from anybody. You guys really listen to people. You respond to concerns of the community. Again, you keep your judicial autonomy and, you got to follow the law. But I did want to recognize that because I've really noticed that, how you all are listening to concerns, whether from council people or the community or other, and really being a really good partner. So I wanted to acknowledge that, Mr. President. Thank all of the judges here today, Judge Early, our fearless leader, our CFO too, and everybody else that makes this operation work well. And again, Mr. President, Judge Early is doing all that and reducing her budget. So I think she needs to be commended for that.
And also, I neglected to say, we have an amazing court administrator who just had a planned vacation. So Russell Brown is also a very, very important member of my team.
Yeah,
So,
and
to make
Judge,
sure.
I know that, as we've said earlier, too, about other folks, there's a lot of people on these lists that make it work, right? That are not here today,
Yep.
that are at work right now, that make everything that, that you all do work on a daily basis. So shout out to them as well. Thank you, Chair.
All right, outstanding. Seeing no other questions. Municipal Court, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you
great
so
job,
much.
and I concur with
Thank
what
you.
all my colleagues saying. You guys are doing a great job. Judge Patton, always great to see
You're
you.
always welcome to
Judge
visit.
Patton, Judge Patton,
Wait a minute, wait a minute,
you gotta let Judge
wait a minute.
Patton say something. Hold on.
This is last one.
Judge
Yeah.
Patton, go ahead.
Sorry.
It's a pleasure being back here at this table where so many important things happen for the city. This will probably be my last budget hearing.
Yeah.
I'm aged out. Uh,
I'm gonna change his birth
Judge,
certificate.
Judge Early has taken over. The chair's being yanked away, I know.
Listen, as always, once a councilman, always a councilman.
Right, I'm like, yeah,
and
you
leave it
gotta
up to
respect that,
another
like,
former
right.
councilman to haze you at the table today.
I'm like, we were like only 20 minutes. Don't,
Mike Earl's still hazing people,
Hey,
man.
but I wanted to thank Judge Early.
Hold on, hey, if we could, everybody hold on. Hold on real quick. Judge, please.
All right. I just wanted to thank Judge Early for the leadership she's provided. She took over drug court. She's doing a wonderful job. When you guys get out into the community, you can talk about the specialty courts because they're special. Our numbers in jail are down tremendously because of those specialty courts, and it's something we can be proud of. Congratulations to everybody here. Good seeing you.
Thank you. And we love Judge Early. The only thing I got a problem with is she left Ward 6. Where's she go? She's in the high rise, the Jeffersons, the George Jefferson high rise.
Your district's too expensive.
All right, while Clerk of Courts is coming to the table, Ms. Saban, can you read this into the record?
Page 105, Cleveland Municipal Court, Clerk's Division. Earl B. Turner, Clerk of Municipal Court. Page 106, Salaries and Wages.
Please pay attention.
2024 unaudited, $7,816,754.
106 now. 105.
2025 budgeted, $8,621,642. Page 107, total expenditures, 2024 unaudited, $12,978,767. 2025 budgeted, $14,668,218. Page 109, number of employees December 2024, 136. Budgeted 2025, 172. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Finance Director, we always start with you, and then we'll move to the clerk. Finance Director?
Through the chair to the committee, before we get started, just want to point out a green sheet this morning on page 105. So for the sake of transparency, we added some descriptions to the programs for more clarity. There's no material change to numbers or staffing or anything. This is just a narrative change.
Thank you. Clerk, welcome to the table. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me first introduce the staff that are here this morning. My Chief of Staff, Kim Bates, is here. My Chief of Operations, Dawn Harris, is here this morning. My Finance Director, Grace Lynn. Shayla Hertz, the Civil Operation Manager. Ron Tabor, the Director of the Criminal Division. John Galick, the Director of Parking Violations. Mariceli Rivera, Director of Human Resources. Irene DeGrandis, who is our Special Projects. Mike Fields, our Director of Security. Mark Aqua, Project Management. Angie Martin, Project Management. Holly Murphy. Saida Williams is our HR Coordinator. Franzetta Turner. Is she coming? Okay. Yeah. She's here, okay. Franzetta, no kin to me, okay, because I know that's always the $6 million question. Franzetta Turner is our staff attorney, and Kara Whitmar is our Special Projects. It is my privilege to present the success and strategic vision of our office this year. Our unwavering commitment to enhance services for Cleveland Municipal Court, optimize collections for the City of Cleveland, and expand our outreach programs and partnerships to better serve our community. We are continuously exploring advancement in the Odyssey case management system to assist in streamlining court operations. Our collection initiatives have been strengthened through our partnership with the Attorney General, Harris & Harris, Alliance One. These agencies employed a variety of notification methods, including texting to notify drivers of any outstanding fines. During our In the Neighborhood event, we focus on resolving past due parking tickets, traffic tickets, as well as educating attendees about payment plans to prevent vehicles from being towed, and collection letters from our collection agencies. we have re-engaged with the Attorney General's office to start efforts later this year on parking tickets. As I met with people last year, those who had paid their parking tickets told me that they did not feel it was unfair. They felt it was unfair to not try new ways of collecting for those who had failed to pay their fines. Last year, we conducted 8 in-the-neighborhood events and participated in numerous expungement clinics in collaboration with various organizations, including the nonprofit Legal Works, which is the main organization that we work with. Additionally, we have continued to maintain a partnership with 14 local suburban communities to serve in these events. Through these efforts, we have assisted in filling numerous expungement and sealing records, demonstrating our commitment to giving individuals a fresh start. This year, we have scheduled 8 more in-the-neighborhood events to continue this impactful work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, it was mentioned by Judge Early about a new Senate bill, and we're working with the legislature because there are some issues in the bill that negatively does affect our collection efforts. And we're not sure they intended. And I'll let Kim, you want to spend a little bit of time on it? It would affect our collection efforts. You want to share a little bit on that? Kim Bates is our Chief of Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. From the Council President to the Council people, House Bill 29 was originally designed to impact driver's license suspensions for people who pay child support. And the problem was if their license was suspended, then it could affect their jobs if they were a truck driver or a cab driver, even getting back and forth to work and dropping their children off to school. So it negatively impacted them and their ability to pay child support. So the bill was really trying to support helping them to be able to pay child support and lessen their driver's license suspensions. Unfortunately, the municipal courts were pulled into it. The municipal courts do not have anything to do with child support. And so the way that it negatively impacted us was that one of the things that it took the teeth out of was that we will not able to be any longer able to put registration holds on the people who have unpaid parking tickets or unpaid fines. And that's really the teeth of our collections, because right now, I mean, people get collection notices all the time. They ignore them for the most part. But the vehicle registration holds directly impact the vehicle. They do not impact the driver's license. So if someone has to get transfer plates, they go to get their stickers, they're not able to do business at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles until their fines are paid. And that was the way it motivated people, especially around their birthdays, to come in and pay us first, and then we would issue a release, and then that way they could go and take care of their business at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. So like I said, House Bill 29 took that away from us, meaning we could no longer put vehicle registration holds on defendants who had not paid.
So that, Mr. Chairman, that could be tens of thousands. And our collection efforts would drop, and the only vehicle that we would have left then would be the Attorney General. I go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles to get my plates, and I always hear somebody saying, I got to go back down to court. I hear that all the time. And that's because we put the registration holds on them, and so they have to come to the court. And then when we send notices out, Mr. Chairman, normally this time of year when it's tax time, you know, we get a lot of people that come in and pay. But if that tool is taken away, I mean, you'll be asking us questions about collections, and I won't be able to give you the answers that you necessarily want to hear. Mr. Chairman, also, I just want to, we have been doing some succession planning in our office because our workforces are changing. And just to give you a quick example, Today, we have 21% of our workforce is baby boomers. 47% of our workforce is Gen X. And millennials is 23%. And now we have a growing generation. Generation Z we have 9%. So that number is starting to grow. So we have been looking at succession planning and how to train this next generation of young people that are coming into the workforce because it's different, their work habits are different. And so we've been spending a lot of time in putting people in place and getting them properly trained to be able to handle the responsibilities from this year forward. And that's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Clerk, and thank you for all the work that you do. I'm interested to hear more about that policy as we move on. That's a tough one because I know we always want to make collections, but we also want to alleviate barriers for some of our residents towards employment and being able to do things. But that's one of those things we need to make sure that we hear more about and understand the ramifications of that law. So that's something that we're going to be watching very close.
Okay, so at this time, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to just have them to step forward. Each of the directors of the department. Shayla Hertz is the operations manager of the civil division. And she's actually acting director while the director is out.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Through the chair to the council.
And please speak into your microphone if you could. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Through the chair to the council. New cases are up by 16.37%, with electronic filing contributing to this increase, adding over 1,300 additional cases filed in 2024. In 2024, rent deposit cases decreased by 7.9%, evictions dropped by 10.1%, potentially due to the Right to Counsel Cleveland program, which provides free legal representation to qualifying tenants. Legal Aid, in collaboration with the United Way, reported that they have helped over 3,000 Cleveland residents in more than 1,000 eviction cases. 80% of the cases resulted in eviction prevention or avoidance of involuntary moves. 63% of the clients receive rent assistance to stay in their homes. The Right to Counsel Cleveland program brochure is included with every eviction summons and sent by regular mail to ensure tenants know their rights and available assistance. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, and if you look in the yellow folder, there is a card that we give out to everybody who an eviction files an eviction. So we'd like to give this to you. So I know you all put out newsletters, and I don't know if you were aware of it. It's something that you could put in your newsletter to make your constituents aware of it.
We actually created the program and funded
Okay.
it.
Oh, good.
But yes, we definitely.
So as you
marketing
can
big
see,
fans.
the work that you did, it's working. And so that can contribute to some of the decrease in evictions in Cleveland Municipal Court.
Awesome. Thank you.
Next would be, I think most of you know Mr. Ron Tabor, who is the director of the criminal division.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Through the chair to the members of council, good morning. Our criminal filings have decreased from last year by 15.44%. That's our misdemeanors. Now our felony filings have increased by 20.39. Our traffic case issuance has decreased by 1.6%. But then our operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs issuance has increased by 1.75%. Now our online payments have increased by 4.6%.
As you can see, Mr. Chairman, our online payments are consistently increasing on a year-to-year basis. It's something that we promote to everyone, even when we're doing any form of outreach. We try to to encourage people to use the online payment system. Thank you, Mr. Tabor. Next,
If you could you put a mic up close to you, channel 20, and everybody's saying they can't hear you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Oh, and also, Mr. Tabor wanted to point out that last year we received 47,000 calls to our call center, and our customer service reps assisted 1,351 people in making payments over the phone because everybody doesn't know how to use the online payment system. Some people are older. So that's and then on an average of a day-to-day basis, between the clerk's office and the radio room for the police department, we get 60 calls a day from the Cleveland Police Department that we have to respond while they have zone cars in the street, and they're asking, is there a warrant on an individual? So then we do the background check and notify them if that's correct. Next, making a presentation will be John Galick. He is the Parking Violations Director.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Turner. Through the chair to the members of council, good morning.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
I'll be going over some of our pertinent numbers from last year as well as some notables that we're working on. And it is shown as on the top left of the slide, you'll see our parking ticket collections decreased from 3.3 to 2.8 million last year. This shortfall is attributed to not having Ohio Attorney General collections, as well as a 10% downturn in ticket issuance. You'll also note to the right of that, this 10% downturn in issuance coincides with a 19% increase in disputes. This increase was due in large part to the city's new meter zone initiative. There was some confusion from citizens regarding these new zones, and we reached out to the Division of Parking Facilities, and some additional signage was erected, which has alleviated the problem. And you'll see in the middle of the slide that waste collection revenue and issuance were both up in '24. And below that, revenue from the old photo infractions continues to taper off, but we were still able to collect $65,000 last year. And revenue from the scofflaw car was unchanged. And on the next slide, we spent a good part of '24 focusing on converting our database from social security number to driver's license number driven. This, along with the upcoming removal of deceased motorists from our system, will go a long way towards cleaning up our database and will allow for more efficient and accurate collections. And lastly, we're in the process of renewing our relationship with the Ohio Attorney General for collection on delinquent tickets. We anticipate this to be an ambitious project, and we hope to be ready for tax season '26. Thank you.
Question real quick from Councilman Michael Valencia.
You've indicated parking tickets are down 10%. What about moving violations? Where does moving violations show up?
That's in criminal.
That would be in the criminal
Okay,
division.
that will be up. You're going to have them up?
He's
Okay.
already been up, but we can go back.
Yeah, I want to touch on that at some point, but just put me down for that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, as you can see, one of the biggest issues was when the city went to the new parking meter system, there was major confusion. And so we had 4,000 challenges to the system. And that had an effect on collections too, because people dispute them, the tickets. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask Maricela Rivera, the Director of Human Resources. She'll come forward and talk about our staffing and human resources.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Through the chair to the council members, good morning. I will be reporting today on the staffing levels. As of today, for 2025, we have 133 full-time employees and 8 part-time employees. On 2024, we ended the year with 131 full-time employees and 8 part-time employees. On 2023, we ended the year with 130 full-time employees and 9 part-time employees. New hires. As of today, for 2025, we have hired 4 full-time employees. For 2024, we hired 18 full-time employees. For 2023, we hired 23 full-time employees. As of today, for 2025, we have 2 separations. 1 full-time employee retired, 1 full-time employee was terminated. For 2024, we had 16 separations. 3 full-time employees retired and 13 resigned. For 2023, we had 18 separations, 3 full-time employees retired, and 15 employees resigned. We are excited to announce the acquisition of a lactation pod. It is located in the Cleveland Municipal Clerk of Court's Office, Civil Division, 2nd floor. These are the pictures of the lactation pod. This is the front door of the lactation pod, and the other picture is a picture of the inside. Inside your brochures, there is a copy of the guidelines for the lactation pod. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Pelisi had a question real quick for Ms. Rivera.
Yeah, Ms. Rivera. Judge Early passed out earlier a breakdown, the pay bands for the various positions in Cleveland Municipal Court. I would request to the chair if we could have that sent to us, the pay bands, because as always, if there's open positions, we would like to promote that open positions in our neighborhood so we can get people to apply. So I'd like to know what the pay bands are for those various positions. That would be helpful.
We can also, Mr. Chairman, we have what is called a salary administration plan.
Right.
So we can send you that too, because that'll give people a clear picture of what the starting pay is. And it changes every year based on, we use the city's union contracts.
Yes.
We take a look at those.
Okay.
And then we try to bring our office to be competitive because, quite frankly, some years we weren't competitive and we lost a lot of employees because, you know, they come to our office for $18 an hour, they stay 2 weeks, and they go someplace else. We've had employees will leave and go someplace. We have good health care in the city of Cleveland, best health care that you can afford to have, but they'll go someplace that's a higher pay with no health care. So I think we're competitive now, Mr. Chairman, in our salary structure, but we look at it every year to make sure that we're competitive in our industry against other clerks' offices too, because we're picked off.
You're right.
Even the city, Mr. Chairman, even the city of Cleveland picks off our employees.
So just on that, finally, so are the open positions, are those posted on the city's website? Where are those posted at? On the city's website? Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
they have to be
Thank you.
posted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Rivera. All right, Clerk.
Imaging department.
Which I lost my sheet.
That's okay, she's there.
Oh, Irene DeGrandis is just going to, imaging department.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Turner. From the chairman to the council, in 2024, we processed 142,899 pieces of mail for a total cost of $381,083 for all division of the Clerk of Court's office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think you know enough about In the Neighborhood. We partner with Mike Fields is our new director of that program, and our security. I don't think he needs to come to the table today, but we will have 8 in the neighborhoods, and then also we will be working with Judge Early on some additional in the neighborhood programs for services. it never fails. We always have 100 people. And Mr. Chairman, to the council president, I know you're familiar with it.
Absolutely.
It's a great program. It helps so many people. Everybody, once you get in the court system, oftentimes people don't know how to get out. And so they come to in the neighborhood, and we help them in working, getting them back in court, because that's number one. How do we get you back in court? Back, to see a judge. Some of the folks just need to pay a fine. They don't even know that's the simplest thing they can do. Pay a fine, go to community work service, and then one of our biggest programs. We don't have as many now. It's starting to taper down. As when we would have 100 people, and we say you can go. We have different agencies that partner with us, and we would always say, okay, we have child support, and we have X, and X, and everybody would run the child support first. So child support was a partner with us for many, many years, and it continued, even all the way down to juvenile court. People don't realize that you still have a juvenile court record, even when you're older. So we try to help people get out of the system. That's the biggest thing. And then there's people that have drivers, they have CDLs, and they need to get back into court because they're getting ready to lose their job. So the good thing about our court and our judges, and working with Judge Early, we're able to get so much accomplished along those lines. And then our expungement is, it just continues to grow. We started it, partnering the court, clerk's office. Well, we used to do it for years and years and years, but expungement was so tough that, a lot of people didn't qualify. The legislature modified the law, and so it's easier to get an expungement now. So we partnered with the court, and Judge Early reported on how many have come through, and it's a great program. And I wish some of you could come to see some of the people that come to the program, and when they leave and they get their paperwork, and how they're crying because their lives are just about to change in a positive direction, and they have been hiding, and they wind up working low-paying jobs where they're working under the table. So our expungement program, we are really proud of that. Everybody in Cuyahoga County now wants to do an expungement program. Just about everybody. So we, being that we're in probably still the most important piece of it, we still send Mr. Fields out, and we work with any organization. Warrensville Heights is partnering with us coming up. So tomorrow, it's coming up tomorrow. So anybody that wants to do an expungement, we're willing to work with them to help to change people's lives. Because the average person that has a record, it might be 15 years old, 15, it could be 30 years, old, and they're, I don't think I can get it expunged. Well, that's not necessarily true now. So that's why we encourage people to come to the program. Change your life. That's what it's really about. Mr. Chairman, and that is it for today. Any questions?
Thank you. I have a couple, and then I'll turn it over to the body for questions. On page 107, under maintenance, it has $145,000 for maintenance of office equipment. What is that for? And why is that jump? Just trying to understand that.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, in the 25 budget, for example, we have currency counters, our Pitney Bowes software maintenance, maintenance agreement, scanners, Kodak scanners, the maintenance agreement. A lot of people don't realize that anytime you buy new systems, there's always this heavy maintenance cost that is attached to it on the back end. They think, okay, I bought Pitney Bowes, and that's the end of it. No, you wind up paying a maintenance cost every single year, so they come in if you have problems. And that's what those costs are.
All right, thank you. The next thing is revenues. You have about $2,213 in revenues. Just trying to understand, what is that pertaining to?
2,000.
It's just down on interest, yeah, interest earnings and investment income. So do you guys invest and you gain interest, or where is that coming from?
Change the free checking account to interest-bearing account.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay. We changed banks, and now we have a interest-bearing account. So we generated some interest off of it.
Okay, not a lot, but it's huge. I mean, going from a deficit to interest now. So, all right, I have Councilman Mike Polensik, and then Councilwoman Rebecca Moore, and then Councilwoman Jasmine Santana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues, and it's good to see my former colleague, I want to say Councilman Turner, Earl Turner at the table. long time ago. And I appreciate his due diligence and the professional staff that he's been able to assemble over all these years. To follow up on the Council President's line of questioning on page 107 of the fines, forfeitures, and settlements, how much of that is from moving violations? Do we know?
Okay, so what you see in our budget for fines and forfeiture is parking.
Just parking?
Yes.
So where does the moving violation show?
It's in the judicial budget. But we can.
Was it Judge Early's shop budget?
Judge.
Because that wasn't explained to us. Show us where that's at, from moving violations.
Finance Director.
Okay, so.
So that, the 3.2 is just parking infractions.
Those are judicial revenue, yes. It's under the judicial section.
Can the finance director find that?
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah. Through the chair of the councilman, we're looking that up.
What page, do you know?
They got a cheat sheet.
Okay.
That's different from ours that we're going to get next
I
time.
know. We need the cheat sheet, okay?
101.
So through the chair to the councilman, page 101.
101?
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute, I want to see this. 101. Okay.
2/3 of the way down the page, you'll see a line for criminal fines and costs that totals, total budgeted for 2025 is $1.631 million.
Now, wait a minute, on page 101,
Directly
what?
under the expense bottom line, it's the first line in revenues.
so you're seeing where it says fines, forfeitures, and settlements? The 2.7?
Hold on 1 second.
Under fines.
Sorry, through the chair to the councilman, I've been made aware that my page is not the same as yours, so
That's
it would
right.
be under charges for services.
So,
On page 101, right?
Page 101.
okay, charges for services.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to tell you what it is?
Yeah.
Yes, someone tell me.
$3,673,000 on
Because
page 101, on the bottom of the
The bottom
page.
of the page.
So that's
101.
it? The 3.6?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fines, forfeitures, settlements, miscellaneous, and then interest, all that would be a part of that.
Yes, sir.
So that's moving violation. So again, to the administration, this is of great concern to me, and I'm not directing this to the clerk, I'm directing to the administration. Because not only when you enforce the moving violations do you set a tone in our neighborhoods, because if you know if you're watching any of these committee hearings, a major concern of council, as you've been hearing it, is lack of traffic enforcement in our neighborhoods. That's why we have all these demands being placed on us about people wanting speed tables, and then the cost associated with that, which we're going to get into at some point. But you look at the numbers, the dollar amount is decreasing, the revenue, and yet our complaints are going up in our neighborhoods. So I'm going to leave it at that point. Something's got to give on traffic enforcement. I don't know if the people in public safety understand. Not only is it sending a tone in our neighborhoods, but it's also about a revenue stream coming back to the city. It's a revenue stream. And I learned a long time ago, we should do everything we can to enhance revenue streams. And for some reason, that's been lost in the Department of Public Safety for some reason, and in CPD for the life of me, but regardless, I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll dig deeper on that within the near future. But I want to go back to the clerk's office. I just want to, again, I want to wrap it up my time, again, requesting those, the pay bands for the positions. And again, I want to thank the clerk for carrying his message and what the clerk's office does out into our neighborhoods with the neighborhood sessions. I think that's been a great enhancement. And again, I just appreciate Earl Turner's years of service. There's a lot to be said about seniority, okay? A lot to be said about seniority, and sometimes that is overlooked. And as a senior member of this body, I want to just thank my former colleague, Earl Turner, for the job that he's done over these years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rebecca Moore.
Thank you. I'm way down at this end, clerk, so you're going to have to lean forward to see each other. I wanted to bring up an issue that I know we'll be talking about internally as well, but if we could go back to the waste collection ticket revenue, that was increased slightly. I just want to take a moment of personal privilege to talk about something operational a little bit outside the budget, which is that I've had some residents who have tried to appeal their waste collection tickets with your bureau, and then their appeals are being returned because they're not notarized. And our law department doesn't believe that appeals need to be notarized for waste collection tickets. And what was more concerning to me was that when their appeals were returned, there was no cover letter from the clerk's office or the parking division indicating that the appeal had been rejected. Essentially, it wasn't docketed. It was just returned to them in an envelope without any cover letter saying, with no information. And then, of course, the appeal was not registered. The appeal window lapsed. It's quite a frustrating process. And so I would just like to ask that we work to resolve this and bring the appeal process for these tickets in line with our actual city law, which does not require that these appeals be notarized. And at a minimum, I would ask that if someone is appealing one of these tickets, that it's docketed and responded to, even if you have some substantive complaint with it.
Mr. Chairman, I can also let Mr. John Gaylor come to the table to speak about it, who's the director. On the ex partes, the reason, we also had worked with the law department some time ago about this various issue, and it's about ownership. We wanted to make sure that the ownership for the waste, that we were citing the right person was cited, and the right person who filed the ex parte, it was correct. So I'll let Mr. John Gaelick, if he's got anything else to add.
Certainly, through the chair to the council. Yeah, it was at the inception of the program back in 2011, we worked very closely with the law department as far as the wording on the back of the ticket. They were intimately involved in designing the ticket and the wording, and there was no issue raised at the time. And the clerk is correct. The reason we asked for that was to ensure that it's the property owner submitting the ex parte and not a potential renter, because per ordinance, it's the property owner who's responsible. As far as the appellant not receiving anything back, I'm certainly not aware of the appellant just receiving just an envelope back, but we'll certainly look into that. I just talked to our bailiff the other day and just checked the notes on a particular ticket with this same circumstance, and she had detailed notes in the system as to why the appeal was returned. We always work with the appellants if they need more time or if they need to resubmit. We always work with everybody. That's what we do.
Thank you. I don't want to take up more time at the table, but I'll just say, would you be willing to sit down with me in the law department, because currently their opinion is slightly different?
Absolutely. I think we have a meeting set this coming week.
There's already a meeting set.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next, we have Councilwoman Jasmine Santana.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will be brief. Good morning, everyone. So I have a question and then a comment. So first question, on seasonal student assistance, I know that there was budget requested for $16 seasonal students, and then I think 0 were hired, and then we budgeted now for 16.
What happens, Mr. Chairman, to the, and Maricela Rivera can come to the table, we use the 16 in the summer, and then, so when the budget shows 0, it's because those people have completed their work tasks. How much are they worth? Whether it's 6 weeks, whether it's 8 weeks, then when that's over, everything drops back to 0.
Got it.
Then
So the
goes up.
2024 already budget was already spent. It just doesn't
Yes.
reflect on this
Yes.
bucket. And what is the process for students to get
The
hired?
budget reflects the last pay of the year.
Okay.
Okay, so that way, all those students pretty much are off the payroll by, I'd say, September.
Got it. Okay. And what is the process for students to get hired?
Pretty much people call into the office and ask for summer jobs. We try to help college students that are in college. We have some high school students. So if anybody has anybody that, you know, that's in need of a summer job, we're always open and available for recommendations. I mean, last year we were looking for people.
Okay.
But we try to help college students so that they can work their way through college. We try to keep those students until they complete college. And so if a person starts with us, unless they just don't perform, and then we don't invite them back the next year.
Got it.
But if they're a college student, if they're a high school student, many of our employees started as students. Saida Williams, who's our HR in the back, she started as a student in the Parking Violations Bureau. And she went on to play basketball at Virginia. I hope I said the right college so I don't get beat up.
She smiled, so that's probably correct. Mariceli.
She went on, but she finished her college career, and she came back every single year. And when she graduated, we convinced her. She's also in the Hall of Fame in Virginia. So
Oh,
just to let
nice.
you know, she's in the Hall of Fame.
Keep bragging.
So she came. Then we convinced her because she was an outstanding. I mean, I'm just telling you, when you have somebody that was outstanding, she was outstanding as a summer student. We would put her into positions that individuals have been there for 3, 4, 5 years, and she could handle the responsibility. So we convinced her to stay, and she's moved around the clerk's office. She became an assistant in the criminal division, and now she's in human resources. And she's leading several programs, as I talked about earlier, to try to upgrade our staff in the clerk of court's office. We have a few employees who started. We have a summer student now that worked as a summer student. He's back now, he graduated, and we're working to try to keep him in the clerk of court's office. So, like I said, now we've had many of them, our students who have left, and I can't even begin to pronounce some of the areas that they were pursuing, but many of them were going into trying to be doctors. And, you know, they need that summer money. It's so important. So we start some as students in high school, and then we'll stay with them, as long as I'm here, we'll stay with them until they graduate from college.
Got it. Thank you for doing that. I know the Councilwoman House Jones, and through the Workforce Development Committee, we want to ensure that this year more institutions are stepping up and hiring our youth, right? Getting them out of trouble and giving them these opportunities. So if you could send me that information, Mariceli, I would appreciate that. And just my comment, you know, I just want to thank you, give your department a special shout out, your staff. I mean, I get so many residents giving me a call with high anxiety, right, about the process and what they're going to encounter. And then once I refer them to you, they come back just feeling lighter and relieved and speaking very highly of your staff because of the kindness and the professionalism that they experience. So that is huge. And then I would be remiss if I don't acknowledge your commitment of ensuring bilingual staff and Spanish translators there. I know, Mariceli, you've been there for what, over 20 years?
25.
25? Oh my God. We're getting old. I'm already talking about, do you remember the time?
I've only been here 10 years.
10, oh, wow, she beats you. We know that's not true. But anyhow, not many courts provide these levels of services and support. So I do want to thank you and thank you, your staff, and congratulations to the baller back there. And then, so that's it.
Mr. Chairman, to the council person, thank you for your comments. As an organization, it is important to me that we be able to reach out to all communities. So when we're looking for some bilingual, we know in our call center, we need to have somebody, a person that can speak Spanish. We know that, okay? So we work very hard to try to fill that position. And throughout the entire clerk of court's office, if you come down to the civil division, we have somebody, we got multiple people. And so when we're looking for full-time people, we will oftentimes, reach out. We've reached out to the Spanish American Committee. We reach out to organizations, because when people come down to the court, everybody doesn't speak English, and there's different dialects. And everybody thinks because you're Latino that it's all the same, but it's not, okay? And you might be talking to one person and saying the wrong thing, so you just need a variety of folks in the office that can speak the different dialects so that you're not calling somebody a bad name in the language. So that's important to me. We have always tried to reach out to every community, and as long as I'm there, we will continue to do that. It's important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Councilman Kevin Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to acknowledge Ward 2's finest resident, Clerk Turner, and I want to just show my appreciation for your service over the years, and thank you for all your efforts, and just have such a wonderful staff. Also want to make a request to have an expungement clinic somewhere in and around my community. Because there's a lot of folks in our community can benefit from this. And I would like to see those folks who transform and can change their lives in my community. Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
We'll definitely do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions for the clerk of courts? Seeing no other questions, thank you, clerk. Keep up the great work, and looking forward to continue to working with you.
And good luck to everybody this year.
Thank you.
Minus me.
And Mr. Shelton.
Thank you for your service.
Mr. Shelton retired, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
All right, clerk.
Temporary.
Okay.
Well, I would say you better not.
We're going to do mocap. Kevin Bishop is going to take over for me.
We're hiring.
Curtis Wilson was here yesterday. I don't know if he was here this week, but next thing you know, he was gone to waste collection.
Yeah.
Now he's.
We are hiring.
Bishop.
Okay. Hey, that's why I have to keep increasing salaries.
All right, we're going to go to mocap. So we're going to jump to Office of Capital Projects, if we could.
Page 55, Office of Capital Projects, Director James D. DeRosa. Page 57, salaries.
Everybody keep it down while they re-listen to records.
Salaries and wages, 2024 unaudited, $5,011,846. 2025 budgeted, $5,966,437. Page 58, total expenditures, 2024 unaudited, $7,488,273. 2025 budgeted, $9,319,086. And page 60, number of employees, December 2024, 61. Budgeted 2025, 71, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Sabin. Director, you want to make opening comments or remarks before we get into the budget?
Mr. Chairman, I'm just happy to be here and here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Director. I'm happy that you are here to join us. I'm going to go right into a few questions. Page 57.
57.
Under professional services. Let's see it. Okay, no, let me correct that. On page 59, under revenues, charges for services, we have no entry for budgeted for 2025 in the charges for services. Why? And then on the bottom page, bottom line, you go from 344,000 in 2024 to 997,000. Why such a large increase on that one?
Through the chair, or to the chair, that is reimbursements through bonds for the work that they do. Last year, they didn't bill as much back in reimbursements. We plan on catching up on the billing. So what happens is they bill, when they do capital projects, they bill some of their engineers, architects, and stuff back to the capital budget.
Okay.
And then it reimburses here.
Okay, so it's going to be pretty much at the level of 2023. I see that was over $1 million, so we're going back to the same level of reimbursement. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, to the chair, that's correct.
Okay. And also on the head count, you're going from 61 employees to 71. What positions are you trying to fill, and why such a large year-over-year increase?
Through the chair, they were budgeted at 68 last year. They only had 61, so they had 7 vacancies at year end. They did request some additional headcount to kind of, they had lost some headcount in previous years. So they have 3 brand new budgeted positions to carry the workload in MOCAP. And that's getting them closer to where they were several years ago.
Okay. So, Director, would you be fully staffed at this level to kind of catch up on all of the stuff that you had?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So this takes into account, as Mr. Gensau said, lost positions in cutback years to allow us to, we're being asked to produce a lot of projects, and this will fully staff us to allow us to meet the current need. So the answer is yes.
Okay, before we open it up for questions, I just want to express my appreciation to you, Director, and your department. You have truly been, we have truly saw a remarkable improvement since you have become the Director of the MOCAP, okay?
Thank you.
I'm going to open it up for questions. Councilman McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Director.
Good morning.
I want to echo the chair's comments. I've got a lot of faith in you, Director. I think you're doing a really good job.
Thank you.
And because I'm old and jaded, my filter is falling off more and more every day. The previous setup, they couldn't have cared less about feedback from council people. This is my opinion, one council member, but I worked, and not your staff, I'm talking about previous leadership. So you have been a marked difference, and I'm really excited that your staff has your leadership in there now. I know they work hard. And your assistant director, is she here today?
She's not here today. She's in the building, but yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and she's been great too.
Yes.
Your assistant
Thank
director
you.
has been phenomenal. I also, Mr. Chairman, very quickly, I want to acknowledge how much work community outreach you all are doing. Your staff are in our neighborhoods around playgrounds and other stuff, and that never happened before. So I just really want to shout that out. So the question I have on the budget, Mr. Chairman, to the director, when you are implementing projects in the communities. Are those run by the project coordinators on page 59? Who helps get projects out the door?
So, Mr. Chairman of the Councilman, first of all, thank you for acknowledging my staff, because I really can't do anything that I do without my staff, and they really do care. And together we are really doing a lot of community engagement, and we do have also a community engagement consultant on board, so that we can do even better going forward. So to your question about the project coordinators in here, so the project coordinators are one type of civil service category that does handle project management, generally on the admin and engineering and construction side, that are sort of the non-architects and non-engineers to handle project management. So like Phil Kidd would be an example. He's a project coordinator. He handles complete and green streets and trails. That's his category. Likewise, though, the architects really manage their own projects, similar to how the engineers, we utilize the project managers. So it's not; those are not the only people that manage projects. You see Jim McKnight out all the time. He's, obviously chief of, landscape architect.
So, chair to the director, pertaining to the budget, council members have their own projects at you. There were the ARPA projects.
Yes.
The city's got its own projects. Does this staff level you're showing in the book reflect what you need to be able to efficiently get these projects out?
Through the chairman and the councilman, great question. Part of why you see, if you go back several years, why you see an increase in project coordinators is because we've realized that our whole department has to operate on managing projects well. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need an engineering degree, an architecture degree.
Right.
So we have shifted to great project managers that don't have a license. And so this does meet our needs, but you may see a continued shift to sort of balance out the needs of our licensed staff versus the needs of our project management staff.
Thank you. Just really quickly, Council. So, Chair, because I'm wrapping up. Chair, I wanted to note, I appreciate that response. I want to just keep an eye on this in the budget and staffing levels. Your department is so important. I'm working with you right now on my road safety project.
Yes.
Your department touches our residents, right? Road safety, collaboration with Public Works, speed humps, all these repaving. And so I just want to make sure, because of how impactful you guys are, that you have the right staffing in here to get it done. So, Chair, if I may just put a pin in that for future conversation, that we keep an eye to make sure that you got the project managers, and because all of our wards have parks and street projects that we're all passionate about, and I want to make sure that you've got the tools you need. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Councilman Conway, you got a point?
You know what? I heard you mention that you have some people without license, and I know what that means, project managers. As a matter of fact, I'm one. And you need to have that. I mean, you guys do a good job. When I talk with Keisha, she understands it. She's extremely bright. However, you need people to understand project management, to have that license in project management, because they do ongoing education. And that's important, because sometimes the industry will shift or whatever, and you need expert opinions in there. Even if we went to college together, and I went to grad school. Even if you you cultivate people, and if you put money in for training dollars, it's better to get that. So then when they go to when we have conferences for project managers, they're there.
Yes.
And you know that. We went to school, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we studied that, and I went through the chair when I listened to the director.
So through the chairman and the councilman, you will see there's an increase in this budget for training, for travel, for license fees, and it's exactly for that reason, because it is really hard to find enough free training in our city.
That's true.
To keep the skills and abilities and keep up with current trends. And so you will see that increase in here, and we would appreciate council approving it, because it is, it is very needed for our staff to be
It's very
constantly
needed.
current and constantly getting certificates and trainings and reinforcing their knowledge and learning new things.
That's great. You know who through the chair who have a great project management training is Progressive Insurance. They push project management. And if you sign up with them, a lot of your project managers and different companies, they go through Progressive, and it's affordable. It's affordable to get that certification. I think it's 5 classes you might need on it, on the implementation of a project and the planning of the project, how to close it out, and the 72 principles of project management. That's one of the best chair certifications that you can get, is a project management certification, and it would be great. So you there, if you put that in there. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman Conwell. Councilman Mike Pence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I'd like to echo again the engagement of the director with members of council. The previous director had the personality of a rock, and therefore there's been a big improvement, to say the least. Okay, so but that being said, obviously we're all concerned about capital projects in our neighborhoods and the priorities that we all have because of growing concerns. So on page 59, Mr. Chairman, to the director, under administrators and officials, who are the executive assistant to the mayor, 2 positions? Who are they?
Through the chairman, the councilman. So a reminder to council that Chief Tewin is on the MOCAP budget. So it would be myself and Chief Tewin are the executive assistants to the mayor.
So,
And that's through chairman and the councilman. That's been since the Mayor Bibb administration came in. That's been the case.
and then who is the assistant director general?
Through the chairman of the councilman, that would be our assistant director, Keisha Chambers. I'm not sure why it says general, but that's our,
I don't
yeah.
understand that. Okay, who is that again, Miss?
Keisha Chambers.
Miss Chambers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then Commissioner Real Estate, who is that?
Through the chairman of the councilman, that is Commissioner Suzanne DeGennaro.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to understand this. Okay, so then we have we have 1 superintendent of sidewalks. Is that still John Petcack?
Through the chairman, yes, that's correct.
Then how many sidewalks, Mr. Chairman, then on page 59 or page 60, how many sidewalk inspectors do we have?
Through the chairman, the councilman, the sidewalk inspectors are combined with the roadway inspectors, where you have the number of 13, plus you have the 1 chief inspector listed. And so, let's see, I believe.
So where's the 13? Show me where the 13 are at, on what page?
Through the chairman of the councilman, that's on page 60, and it's under technicians.
So that would be engineering and construction inspector?
And yes, sir.
And so your sidewalk inspectors are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how many are there?
Through the chairman of the councilman, I can't remember the exact split, but I believe that there are 6 or 7.
And they, Mr. Chairman, they go out like when, well, it's not Dominion anymore. What is it? Enbridge? Who's the new Enbridge or who?
Enbridge, yes.
So inspectors are assigned to when they're putting in gas lines?
Through the chairman of the councilman, yes, but we also have the contractual relationship with Enbridge where they hire staff through a consulting firm at Hill International to do inspections on each of their projects that we then oversee. So we supplement our inspector staff with a contract that we have with Hill International that Enbridge pays for.
Okay, where is that contract in your budget with that company?
Through to the chairman of the councilman, I don't believe it's here because it would be a similar to a capital project that goes through the regular procurement process and is paid for by a third party. So it's not paid by the city, so it's not in our budget here. So the way that it works is that there's a base amount in an account in finance that
In our Department of Finance.
yes. So so Enbridge provides say 50 grand. It sits in that account. As Hill International invoices, they need to have a minimum amount in that account, and Enbridge writes another check to MOCAP, which we deposit into that account.
Okay, the Director of Finance, where is that?
Through the chair, off the top of our head, we don't know where that is, but we will get that information to you.
Yeah, I want to know where it's at because I'm concerned about the quality of work that is being done and who's signing off on this stuff. Because so often we see inferior work in the city versus the suburbs. And I keep saying to myself, they wouldn't be allowed to do this stuff in the suburbs, trying to pour cement when it's snow on the ground. And except I could go through all the litany, but I'm not going to belabor here at the table. I need to know, someone needs to show us where that's at. And then to the director, what oversight do we have to guarantee the quality of work with your team here on page 60 to guarantee that we're getting proper work done in the city that meets code?
Through the chairman and the councilman, so we have a two-pronged approach to managing Enbridge. One is that the contract that we have with Hill International, which does the inspecting services,
yes,
that contract is let by the city, and they're employed by the city, even though Enbridge pays for those costs.
Okay.
And then we have our own staff that oversees this consulting contract. So that would be, Manager Swatowski, and then Robert Knopf, and then his inspectors, his sidewalk inspectors.
Okay. So based on the budget you have presented to us now, do you have adequate staff to oversee city projects going into this year?
Through the chairman and the councilman, we do have adequate staff, but I will say that going forward, as the Residents First initiative gears up,
yes,
it's a big question for us. If we're inspecting every sidewalk on every rental property, that's a burden that going forward, we're going to have to evaluate going forward.
Okay, well then at some point, obviously, how are you going to report back to the chair and to the committee? Because again, we don't want to find ourselves in a situation where we cannot oversee and administer city capital projects because of this engagement.
And Mr. Chairman, we've already addressed that by engaging in 2024 with a consulting firm that does on-call inspecting. And so while our in-house need was somewhat uncertain due to these new programs, we were able to, through the capital budget, engage with a firm. We put it out for bids. QCI was selected. We entered into contract with them so that if there's an increase in demand or a type of inspection that our staff is not skilled with, let's say for the Bedrock project where they're pouring bridge piers,
yes,
very specialized, we can use this consulting firm to have bridge construction inspectors that are very skilled with that to supplement our staff. So that's how we're making sure that we can handle our upcoming needs.
But you only have $20,000 on page 58 for contractual services.
So, Mr. Chairman, through the councilman, what we have to remember, though, is that we have a whole separate capital budget
right,
that is funded through the capital improvement plan, which is where some of these costs lie because they're not general fund expenditures.
Okay, as a result of the work that we're doing there, Mr. Chairman, to the director, does Bedrock or any of those
This is where the inspections are.
augment or help pay for that inspection process?
So through the chairman and the councilman, specific to Bedrock,
Yeah.
it's not a best practice to have the contractor pay for, engage for the construction of a public infrastructure.
No,
like,
I'm talking about as a form of reimbursement to us.
Oh, through the chairman and the councilman, with Bedrock, no. No, we do not have that.
Nothing. Have we ever done that?
Through the chairman and the councilman, I won't say we've never done that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't think of an example.
Okay,
but
I'm going to wrap it up. Mr. Chairman, I want to be assured that on these quote-unquote big-ticket items, whether it be Bedrock or whatever, that, again, that neighborhood projects are not put on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
I got to have that assurance.
Through the chairman and the councilman, I give you that assurance. There is there are a lot of resources put towards the Bedrock project by Bedrock.
Yes.
Our job is to ensure that things are constructed, not just to code, but they're constructed well to last the duration of the expected life of that facility.
Okay.
And that's for the public infrastructure. I'm not speaking to their own buildings. I'm speaking of the public infrastructure.
Okay. Well, I'm confident the chairman of this committee will ride herd and make sure that, again, that as we go into this capital season, that these neighborhood projects that we're all expecting to get underway, that they'll materialize and they will have the staff and the resources available to carry them out. That's what I want to be assured of. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Palincic. Councilman Palincic, can you reiterate that request that you had?
That as it pertains to the, let me get my bearings straight here, the money that is set aside from Enbridge or whatever, where is that identified at in the budget? Is that, what special account, what special fund that is in for
Okay.
these outside utility companies? Where does that go so we can keep a track? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right. Ms. Saban, did you get that request? All right, thank you, Mr. Councilman Palincic. Councilwoman Santana.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. It's still morning? Yes.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning, Director. First of all, I do want to express my gratitude as well for your leadership. You actually came out and toured my neighborhood, and so that means a lot. It speaks volume of your leadership, and you have some outstanding staff, so very responsive. Shout out to Carmen, right? You have a great assistant.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite departments, and let's be honest, you guys play a vital role in transforming communities. Like, people could actually see it, right? So I do want to thank you for that. So regarding the budget, what is under bridge maintenance? I think that's the first time I've seen that through the chair.
Yes. Let me just find it on which line it is.
Under.
So through the chairman and the councilman, the bridge maintenance supplies, or
Yes. Is
yes.
that, no, hold on. Is that what it is? Supplies? Hold on.
So through the chairman and the councilwoman, so there's two ways that, let me highlight one thing. So the reason why bridge maintenance is in our budget is because maintenance does not qualify for capital bonds. So maintenance needs to be paid for by the operating budget, and anything related to construction with a useful life of 10 years or more comes out of the capital budget. So the bridge maintenance, there's two things in here. Under contractual services, we have quite a large amount of money that we pay to Cuyahoga County to inspect all of our bridges.
Got it.
And so that's one reason why there's a fair amount of money in that one line item for contractual services. Cuyahoga County inspects our bridges, gives us inspection reports, and then that tells us what we need to do as far as repairs or maintenance. And then this specific line that you called out is a new line. It's called bridge maintenance supplies. And these are materials that are, we have a bridge section. This is materials that our bridge section needs to do their inspections once we get those inspection reports. So we get the inspection reports, then they go out into the field and they verify what the reports say, come up with a scope of work, and then figure out whether internally through Bridges and Docks the work is done or through one of our contracts with a bridge engineering firm, the work would be done.
Got it. Okay. I just noticed that you didn't budget it for 2022, 2023.
Yes.
But then have it
Yes.
for 2024.
Time to just purchase some replacement equipment.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. So I want a moment to discuss the operational question that I have. I know that this is all regarding budget, but it's going to tie into the budget. So, we invest thousands of dollars in projects in the neighborhood, but when incidents happen, maybe after that year mark, I don't know if we have insurance. I don't know what's the case. I know for me, for my projects in the neighborhood, they don't get repaired, right? Because they're past that year mark. And so contractors don't come out and fix it. I don't know if you guys you have to probably put it through the insurance, but most recently, that the Latin American flags that were put up on Clerk were hit by a semi truck. And it's been almost a year since those flags been out, or close to a year. And so, our residents have to drive by this and just kind of see this damage, dealing with that on a daily basis. And so my question in terms of the budget is, does this budget, or can it include a solution to address this issue? Maybe that's the capital improvement plan budget, but if we're spending thousands of taxpayer dollars to do these transformational projects, and then they get damaged after little bit after a year, and then we can't repair them, then our community's left, right, with this, damage, witnessing this damage. So is there a solution that could be reflected on this budget?
Through the chairman and the councilwoman, that is a great question. I will say that we, besides the Brown Stadium, we do not have insurance to cover the types of situations that you referenced. Sometimes, not in that situation with the flags, sometimes whoever causes the damage has insurance, but lots of times, like the trash cans in your neighborhood or the planters, we don't know who did the damage, or that person doesn't have damage, or the truck that hit the flags have insurance. So our funding for those types of repairs comes from either the capital plan, or it comes from councilmatic funding. Sometimes it comes from RIT funding, but not generally through the operating budget. But other departments, so if there was a damage at a rec center, then the Department of Parks and Rec may have funding in their budget to make repairs. The same if it's, say a curb that gets damaged by a snowplower. That's something that the Division of Streets would have in their budget to repair. But you're right, there's no money in this budget to repair a past, or replace, we can't do repairs, but to replace a capital project that's been destroyed by damage or vandalism, or
Okay. Through the chair, director, thank you for. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, through the chair to the councilwoman. We would use capital funding for that. So if you get the request to Jamie's Director DeRosa's office, we can look at that and then come up with the funding to repair those things. So that's how we would normally handle those either through RIT, but basically out of the capital funding. So
Capital. Okay. So do you guys, through the chair, thank you, Jay. Do you have separate funding for that? Because I'm sure this happens a lot, right? It's not only happening in Ward 14.
Yeah, through the chair, it's part of the capital funding. So we have part of our restricted income tax that we don't use for debt service is for capital items that the city owns. So we would fund it out of there, or we would find some bond funding that's eligible to fix these items.
Okay, I will be reaching out. Thank you. Thank you, Director.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. Next, we're going to go to Councilman Joe Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking at this budget that we have here, how much money do we, Mr. Chairman, to the director, have spent on sidewalks thus far in terms of rehabilitation?
Through the chairman, the councilman, so the sidewalk program is not in the operating budget. The sidewalk program is through the capital improvement plan. And I know that we just set a date where I'll be coming back to council in April, I believe, March or April, to discuss the capital improvement plan.
Right. So, but this, your office oversee those projects, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So then, one of the things that has been a concern when I look at page 55 and has continued to be an issue right now is how far behind are we on these sidewalks, and how fast will we be able to get caught up? Because there are streets, Mr. Chairman, that we have done back as far as 2018, and we still haven't had any sidewalk improvements on those projects.
So, Mr. Chairman, the councilman, the good news is that I can tell you that we, over the past year, we have restructured our sidewalk program as far as how it is staffed and how it is managed. And so we just last week hired a new construction project manager to be over the sidewalk programs, which would be for the 50/50 sidewalk program and the tree damage sidewalk program. He has a lot of experience in this. We've also moved that program under the construction section from sidewalks and permitting to the construction section. So we believe that we're putting the pieces in place to manage this going forward in a great way. I can also tell you that notwithstanding the cold winter that we've had, there are, less than, say, a dozen 50/50 sidewalk locations that have not been completed around the city. And that's another change that we made last year, which was instead of putting out a large requirements contract to hire a big contractor for the 50/50 program, we're embracing advancing and lifting up small businesses. And so we entered into several small contracts with small businesses, all of which were minority businesses. We did that through our Office of Equal Opportunity, and that worked out fairly well in the first year. We also learned that there are certain qualifications that we need to put on the next batch that will be going out soon. For the next round of the 50/50, we have sent our inspectors out to get estimates for all the folks that had called and said that they were interested in the 50/50 program. And we're about to select new firms, or previous firms are happy to bid on it as well, to hit the ground running when the springtime hits for the 50/50 program. Yeah. And then with regard to the tree damage sidewalk program, with the help in last year's budget from council, you had we had a big a dollar amount that was needed to catch up with TDS. Through last year's capital budget and through what council authorized through the operating budget, we are successfully awarding what we're calling a TDS recovery program, which what we did is we inspected all the streets that had never been addressed, identified exact locations where the work needed to be done, and we were able to bid out that work and hire a firm through that process instead of our regular requirements contract process. And it's about an $8 million project that we're awarding now. So this year, we will be addressing that entire backlog of TDS locations, as well as in 2025, we'll be working through our requirements contract to address the 2024 streets that have TDS locations. So I know it's a leap of faith. I know council has heard me at different times before say that we have a plan and we're implementing the plan, but I think we're right at the cusp of solving our past woes with a new team on board to handle the new projects as they arise, so that we don't get in that same situation again.
So then, doing all of this that you're going to put out, how far back are we, and what is what's the? And I hear what you're saying. When will we start actually seeing some rubber meet the road on it?
So, Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, when the springtime weather breaks, you will be seeing, or let's say May to get through the contracting process, you'll be seeing the TDS recovery program start. When the weather breaks, you'll probably see the 2024 TDS work start. That'll start first,
Okay.
and then the TDS recovery program will happen.
And so, Mr. Chairman, just make
Separate
sure I'm
contractors.
clear to Mr. Chairman, to the director. So there's actually $8 million in backload that you've already approved of, and you're going to actually be putting into the streets, and you're going to be starting after you get the contract, requirements contract somewhere in May. So hopefully breaking ground maybe June, July, August.
Through the chairman, our intent with this contract is to finish all the work this year. As soon as that contractor has the contract, they're going to be ready to go.
Okay.
We just have to work hard to get it through our process internally.
Okay. And then, Mr. Chairman, how much are we spending in our capital fund for this year? Do we have a price tag that we're looking at right now? And if so, would that be where would that be here in the book, Mr. Chairman, to the director?
So through the chair to the councilman, we're still assessing how much we would borrow for that. I think in a typical year, it's anywhere between 60 and 80 million.
How much?
Around 60 to 80 million, in that range.
Director, where would we find that in the book itself? I think that was your question.
That
right?
was the question, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Through the chair to the councilman, this would be our bond issuances, so
Bond
in
issue.
the book.
Okay. All right, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, I'm going to leave off a little bit where Mike Polensik started, but I don't have an issue with Umbridge and how they run their operation. Initially, when I first got into office, it was kind of rough, start, and then as we developed I developed my relationship with then Ohio Gas Company and Mr. Miller. You start tightening things up, and I really like and I've even said this to you, I like the way they do work. They have been a good partner in our neighborhood, haven't been trashy, dirty. In fact, I like their inspectors better than I like their inspectors. So let me just say this on the point of the perspective of inspections. Last year we were catching up with ARPA-funded streets. Is that correct? Did we complete, Mr. Chairman, to the director of all the ARPA streets?
Through the chairman and the councilman, we completed all the ARPA streets with the exception of 3 brick streets that are funded with ARPA dollars. And if I could just say that council will soon be receiving information. We're about to bid out a red brick street project. The council is going to be invited if you want to contribute towards any streets in your wards, but those will be the 3 ARPA streets that we yet have to finish this year.
Right. So Mr. Chairman, talking about red brick streets, I got 3 of them that need serious help. And it's East 154th Street. It's Westview. Westview is so bad. Not Westview. Yes, correction, Westview. It's so bad that the bricks have dropped all the way down, and people are having problems getting into their driveway now because the bricks have dropped. And I think I've sent one request in, and I think your people are starting to work on trying to put a project into place to try to help one of our senior citizens who are having difficulties now on that street. But I want to move towards page number 60, Mr. Chairman, where we talk about the engineer and construction inspectors. And this would be dealing with the ARPA streets in particular in my neighborhood. Director, can you look in on that? Of those streets that were done, would your technicians here on this line item, these 13, be responsible for inspecting those streets once that job was done?
So, Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, so some of these inspectors focus on sidewalks and permitting. So if somebody received a permit to cut into the roadway, they're focused on that. And then other inspectors are focused on the roadway construction projects. So yes, so 188th Street in your ward would have been inspected by one of these inspectors.
Right. So I would ask, Mr. Chairman, if you could go back on all the streets that you've done in my area. I've gotten complaints on all the streets, and people are not happy, especially now that it has hit winter. Some of the streets have already now shown complete deterioration. Some of the streets didn't get crack sealed down the center, and you can see the parceling coming loose as we speak. Some of the streets we had issues with, we asked if you would go back to that, and thank you for bringing it in the light. Some of those streets, Mr. Chairman, I don't know how they would have even could have gotten past our inspectors in terms of the work. And I took some photos. I've sent some stuff in. But if you could be so kind, Mr. Chairman, to the director to follow up on that, I'd be very appreciative. Then, Mr. Chairman, how much money are I know we're talking about bonding out. Would that also be a part of an ideal of what, because one of the things that we sit here and talk about is nothing says I love you more to our citizens than us investing in infrastructure. And then they're seeing their streets get done, and they're seeing the work getting done. They're seeing the sidewalks get done. So I would hope, Mr. Chairman, that in our budget this year, we put more money into the streets program. And I do like how everything is working out, Frank Williams' shop in terms of street resurfacing. I haven't, the ones that they have been doing in my neighborhood, I haven't found too much of an issue there because, they're old hat, they know what they're doing. But if we could get to those streets that we did in my neighborhood, directed with post haste, I'd be appreciative. And Mr. Chairman, I don't have any further questions concerning this department. And like my colleagues, I also share the sentiment of having a director who listens and a director who works hard for the citizens of all of the city. So I appreciate the work that you do, Mr. Chairman, to director and to your entire staff. We appreciate even getting something simple done in your department we couldn't get done before, and that's like getting those what they call them?
Guardrails?
That's right. That's right. So you guys are able to do that really well for me, so I'm very appreciative of that. And again, thank you for your service, Mr. Chairman, to the
All right,
director.
thank you, Councilman Jones. Councilwoman House Jones.
Thank you. Through the chair, to the director and team, good morning. A couple of questions regarding, I know we've had conversations regarding the 50/50 program, and I know I've been looking into ways to create a better system. And I know we had explored the conversations around creating an opt-in system, which other communities do. It's an opt-in system where people have to opt out, and then you can set it up where it's a 5-year payback process that is assessed on your taxes. It's very different. We should talk about it, but again, thinking about ways that we can improve the aesthetics just in our neighborhoods without some of the ways that we are used to of requiring people maybe to put a lump sum like 50/50 when we know many people aren't in that position to cover it up front. But there are ways legally we can do it over a 5-year process, and so hopefully we can at some point, it's just a lot going on, but we could really even talk about that policy that will enable us to, like I said, improve curbs, because our curb appeal, we just need to improve it in a lot of places. Beyond that, can you share where, like, for infrastructure that's needed at our neighborhood resource and recreation centers. Like, for instance, at Thurgood Marshall Recreation Center, parking lot, storm drains need to be improved. Where would that be reflected? Is it in this budget or the capital budget?
Through the chairman of the councilwoman, it's in the capital budget.
Okay.
So the Department of Parks and Rec could do repairs through their operating budget.
Okay.
Any of our work would be through the capital budget.
And when are we having a capital budget? Any,
You say that again?
the capital budget, when are we?
Well,
gonna-
we have hearings on the capital budget with in the MSP, and you are welcome to come and attend all of. We'll have them periodically. We've had a couple already, and we got one scheduled for I think April.
I believe it's in April.
When we talk about the capital budget, yes.
Okay.
But I want to encourage you to submit your request to the director if you have something on capital that you need at the rec centers. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And then I guess the last question, or I guess a request from the director, if we can get like a summary of like 2024 capital investments that have been made, that would be really, really helpful. I think just all across the city, or even if there's a place where I can just go and look at it myself, that would be helpful. But I know many times we don't have an ongoing like database that's easily accessible, but that would be very helpful.
Through the chairman of the councilwoman, so we have a wonderful fellow through the Cleveland Foundation, and for the first time, we have an annual report from OCAP. And we're going to use that as a model going forward, but that will be finalized shortly, and it'll give all the data that you're seeking, but we're looking for a way to, not just on the website, but to how to actually make it accessible to folks where they're at. But yes, we have that information, and it'll be shared publicly very soon.
To the chair, to the director, how soon? Within the month?
It's just being proofread, so yeah, I mean, I would assume by the month. Let's say in March.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman House. Also, Councilwoman House, we do have a big spreadsheet that we've created. I think the director has one of those big spreadsheets about yay wide with all of the capital projects that's going on and their status and everything. So we do have that information, but his office will update us on that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and also, Director, you mentioned before, I think we talked about this before, that the 50/50 program is going to get renamed, correct?
Through the chairman, so we just passed legislation through council to allow us to accept the residents' half of the share from a third party.
Okay.
So there was I guess a phrase that wasn't so easy to roll off the tongue that was come up with. We have to come up with a better name for it. I think it was called the Non-Compliant Sidewalk Program. But we will come up with a name that works for everybody. But the big change to highlight for council is that if a council member, if a church, if a nonprofit, or if a neighbor wants to support and pay for somebody's half of that sidewalk repair, it is now legal and able under our ordinances to do so.
All right, okay, thank you.
I get a point.
Just a minute. You want to put it, because I'm going to
I just
Councilman
want a
Case.
point. That's a real quick point.
Okay, quick point.
Here's the point to the chair, to the director. I've had residents to pay for the 50/50 program, and then here come the gas company. And they could have had, unless they end up putting assessment on their property, but they paid for the doggone thing. Some kind of way, you got to let us know, or let the residents know. I'm telling you, Mr. Chair, that they're going to dig that sidewalk up. Martin E. Poor Center did a 50/50 with us, paid for it the next year, not even a year. They dug up the sidewalk of Martin E. Poor's, and they could have used that money and spent it elsewhere. So you got to let us know. That's what I'm saying. We don't want to waste money, Mr. Chairman. We want to be effective, especially when times are hard right now. You're throwing away $1,000, and next thing you know, the gas company will come because we don't know. That's not good.
Mr. Chairman, the councilman, I take that very seriously. It is one of the things that we're doing better at. I have heard that from other council members as well. Dominion is a little bit harder to predict, but there are overlaps between our tree damage sidewalk program and the 50/50 program that we are instituting reviews to make sure that as best as we can, we don't have that problem. Whereas in the past, I'm not sure that it was a regular process to verify before the 50/50 program went forward. So we're definitely working to fix that.
No, on that point, still on this point.
You want to get put on the list, Councilman? You want to get put on the list?
No, I'm just going to respond
Okay.
real quick. You know,
Okay.
in project management, we were talking about that earlier. When you do a project, they do know. You can predict. You got to make them tell you. They know they're going to do Pierpont. They know they're going to execute on 123rd Street, and they know when because they have dependencies and milestones in their project management. They know when they're going to execute on a project. So your project managers will be able to read Project Management 2020, and it could tell them in the project. And that's all I had to say.
Okay. All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, I just want to reiterate again on that legislation that we passed. We worked years on trying to get that third party to be able to pay for the 50/50 program. I'm glad that has been enacted now so that residents don't have to always come up with that kind of money up front. Mr. Chairman, to the director, where in the budget is the resurfacing dollars for next year?
Through the chairman and the councilman, so our budget does not include resurfacing dollars, so that would be the Division of Streets or through the capital plan, but we do not have labor or materials for that program in our budget.
Mr. Gentile?
Yeah, through the chair, the council person, part of it's in Division of Streets and part of it's in capital.
So when we asked yesterday, through the chairman to Mr. Gentile, you said it was all in capital. That's what was told to us yesterday when we were talking about streets, and we asked about that, where the money was. Okay, Mr. Chairman to Mr. Gentile, can you tell us where in the book the dollars are for street resurfacing?
Yeah, through the chair, I'll repeat what I said yesterday because I'm pretty sure what I said yesterday. In the streets budget, towards the end, there's some materials in there. There's a line called local resurfacing. That is part of the resurfacing program. That is what I said yesterday. There's part of it in capital that's geo bond funds, which is roadway bonds, which is not in the book. But the total that we have budgeted for the resurfacing program for 2025 is $12 million in total.
Okay,
but all that's not in the book.
So how can you budget something and expect us to pass it when it's not in the book, when we don't? Are you going out to bond for resurfacing money for 2025?
Through the chair of the council, so we have some of the bond money on hand, and we do issue some additional bonds during the year to make up the 12 million.
Okay, now it's 12. It was 14 yesterday.
No, it's through the chair of the council person. It's been 12. If I did say 14 at some point, I
think we were
apologize.
told 14 yesterday.
No, it was 12. I think maybe the day before.
It was 14 the day before?
Maybe.
Okay.
If I said 14 the day before, let me correct it once and for all so we
So
understand.
I think the bottom line,
have
Mr.
12
Chairman,
million.
is we're not sure 12, 14, or where the...
Through the chair of the council, it's $12 million.
Yeah, Councilman, I heard 12. They mentioned 12 a couple times.
Right. Okay, 12.
I heard the number 14, but I know they mentioned 12.
Okay,
They
okay.
mentioned 12.
Okay.
14.
All right, so the 12, so how much, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Gentile, of the $12 million that you're putting towards street resurfacing for 2025 do we have on hand?
Through the chair to the council person, approximately about 9.5 million. So we
And then,
probably
Mr.
will-
Chairman and Mr. Gentile, are we going out to only bond for an additional 2.5 million?
Through the chair to the council person, that's generally what we would do is to bridge that gap.
And
Correct.
those bonds that we have for approximately 9.5 million, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Gentile, is not anywhere in this book currently, correct?
Through the chair to the council person, what we have in the book is just what we have in streets, then we have geo bonds, and I'll find in the book where the amount is for the streets. The rest is in geo bonds, is not in the book, but I'll go back in the book, pull out that number so I can get you the accurate number that's here and how much is actually in the geo bonds.
Okay. Mr. Chairman and Mr. Gentile, do we have the ability to go out to bond for more than just the 2.5 for streets?
Yeah, through the chair to the council person, yes, that'll be decision discussed at the capital budget, but.
Aren't
yeah.
we on? Okay, I guess capital projects is different than capital budget, right? Yeah.
Than this, yes.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Councilman Casey. Councilman Kevin Conwell.
Very much. Back to that piece. You know what? And we don't just do a project and through the chair and say that we don't know or how to monitor the project. There's a thing called, and it's in Excel, a work breakdown structure. So they know when they're going to do streets, when the project is going to begin, when the project is even going to close out. And with that work breakdown structure, it tells them what resources they might need. You do a resource analysis. It's also in the work breakdown structure. Through the chair, the director knows this. So when he does a work, when the council lady from Ward 7 mentioned about the recreation centers, you assess the recreation centers, you put it in the work breakdown structure because it's work. It's work. And then you know how much resources are going to cost, you know how much money it's going to cost you, and then you know when you're going to execute on the project, and then his department follows it. So what should be attached to the budget, what we're talking about, not this budget, is for any job, there's a work breakdown structure, and the director knows that, through the chair to the director. Sir?
So, Mr. Chairman, the councilman, so for our capital projects that have a useful life of 10 years or more, yes, we do an assessment and we follow that process, maybe not through a business model, but through the architectural or engineering project management model.
That's in there.
Separately from that, other departments manage maintenance, things that have a useful life of less than 10 years. So my department has a certain process that we follow, and with the training dollars that are new, that are allocated here, I'm hoping to increase the ability of all of my staff that manages projects to get the proper project management training so that all of us know what you're speaking of. But in the past, we didn't have the training afforded to the staff in the way that this budget will allow us. So I'm hoping that we can increase all of our abilities because of increased training.
Yeah, you know, when you're ready to do a project in our wards, like, what would be great? And you said you didn't know even from the gas companies. I listened to Councilmember Mike Polensek talking about when they do sidewalks in the cold and in the winter. If he had, when they're ready to do a job order, that he had the work breakdown structure. Or even when they're going to do a job, because it's going to tell you when the implementation of the job is going to start. And then the planning, all of that is in that work breakdown structure. It's in Excel. And it has the dates when it's supposed to happen. So it won't happen in the wintertime, because you're going to see that in the work breakdown structure.
Through the chairman and the councilman, you're right.
And you can look that up. Just go online, Google, and it will show it to you in Excel. Because and I'm not beating you up, Director, he's not just pulling things out of the sky. They're doing planning, they're doing implementation, they're monitoring and controlling so they can control cost. They're, even when they're ready to close it out, it's in that work breakdown structure, and that cuts back on us complaining if we ask for that when you're ready to do your recreation centers and all that.
Understood.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
All right, is there any other questions for MOCAP pertaining to the budget?
I have one.
Councilwoman Gray.
I just want to say, I don't know if it's pertaining to the budget, Chair, I appreciate this, but I just want to say thank you, Chief, for taking care of Zama George this spring. We are waiting and waiting and waiting for this to happen, and knowing that it's going to happen this spring, you're going to take care of the leaks that go into the track on the inside track, so thank you for that. And we will be there to oversee it too, as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
All right, that concludes MOCAP.
Okay.
All right, so Council President.
Ready? Public utilities. Casey?
All right, we're going to move on to Department of Public Utilities, Director Kane and CFO Troy, if you want to join us at the table. And Brooke, if you can read it into the record, please.
Page 314, Utilities General Administration, Director Martin J. Kane. Page 315, Salaries and Wages, 2024 unaudited, $4,607,480. 2025 budgeted, $6,096,833. Page 316, total expenditures, 2024 unaudited, $6,981,056. 2025 budgeted, $9,754,524. And page 318, number of employees December 2024, 60. Budgeted 2025, 99. Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Director, do you have any opening statements, or you just want to go right into questions for Utilities General Administration?
No opening statement, Chairman. Happy to answer.
Through the chair to the committee, just wanted to point out that we do have some green sheets here. There were some staffing, some position titles that were incorrect for 2025. There's no dollar amounts that change, but throughout utilities, you will see several green sheets for staffing.
All right, can you pass the green sheets out? Madam Clerk, do we have green sheets? Director?
I was handed, I think. Are these for them? That's just for you. Okay. I didn't use it.
I don't know, this was sitting here.
When are we going to take our trip to the crib?
Tomorrow?
You want to go down? You can walk it.
Anybody wants to go to the crib, you can walk to the crib now.
You guys can all go. Okay.
It's a 5-mile walk.
You can all go.
Are we waiting on the green?
Yeah, through the
way?
chair to the committee, I apologize for that. We were under the impression that the green sheets had already been turned in, so we have staff going to retrieve those.
Again, Chairman, if I could, my understanding is the green sheets are strictly pertaining to headcount, so if we could maybe go through the body of the Public Utilities Administration, maybe it would be a better use of our time.
All right. So we'll start on page 315. We see a full-time permanent increase of about 1.5, and your separation payment is increased. Can you talk about those?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So as Council hopefully knows, Public Utilities Administration encompasses like public affairs, communications, IT, risk, Channel 20, photo, HR. So the separation payments specifically, we have a number of employees who have greater than 30 years of service with the City of Cleveland. So it's a percentage of that number that dictates the separation. We hope nobody leaves, but if they do, we need to have the budget flexibility to accommodate for the benefit time that they're owed. Salary increases were predominantly associated with some new positions at Channel 20. And once you get the head count, you'll see that there's two deputy deputy directors, assistant directors general, which are specific to TV20. Also, we transitioned what were a freelance photographer at TV20 into a full-time position, which also had a impact on the full-time permanent salaries as reflected in page 315. And, well, I already said separation payments.
And what some people don't understand, Director, is that TV20 falls under Utilities General Administration, correct?
That's correct, Chairman.
All right. Moving down, professional services, we got a rather significant increase.
So on page 315, under contractual services, professional services at DPU admin consist of our Health Safety Institute programming, which was what we use to train all of our employees, both online and the books associated with health and safety training. Our language line translation services, both at the call centers and in print, are reflected under professional services of admin. And then scanning. So scanning, we see an increase. We were participating in a citywide scanning project. However, we recognize that some of our utilities-specific schematics, blueprints, old pipe maps weren't reflected, we thought, in the citywide. So we went out and did our own through a state term contract, and we're currently working with I can't think of the vendor, but it's through the state term, and we had to budget accordingly under professional services.
And then, Mr. Chairman, if somebody calls the call center and needs help with a language other than English, they're able to be accommodated through this professional services?
That's correct. Under this line item, we have the language line translation. I don't know how many different languages, but it's several. And then all of our flyers and informational items are translated into, I believe, currently 5 languages. I know Spanish, Mandarin, Arabic. Do you have that, Troy? Korean, Vietnamese?
Okay. All right, so
No Slovenian.
no Slovenian,
That's
though.
exactly right.
That would be,
2025.
that would be
Chairman.
English.
Right.
All right. Moving on to page 316, we have to do some computer software upgrading.
Yes, Chairman. Under materials and supplies on page 316, computer software, 104,500 budgeted 2025. So under the director's office, my office, we are participating in a citywide risk management software and risk management software for injuries and accidents. Hopefully we don't have any, but on occasion we do. And we want to join a citywide endeavor on tracking, managing, and making sure that we follow all of those, learn from them, and ensure that they don't happen again. Also at TV20 is a broadcast software updates that we're budgeting for under computer software, and then something for Photolab called Photoshop. Troy might be able to help you. I don't know what it is.
People a lot younger than us on this side of the table probably know what Photoshop is, so I don't know if we have to.
Stock photos probably that
I-
we can use in some of our materials, or
It's just a way to make you and I look
I
good.
wrote it in pencil, Chairman.
Yeah, it's a design tool, so whatever. Yeah. And then under your capital outlay, 60,000 for trucks and 70,000 for other equipment. 60,000 for trucks doesn't sound like a lot, so you want to explain what kind of trucks we're getting?
So this is the TV20. Council, and again, TV20 is reimbursed on a dollar-for-dollar basis through the cable franchise fees. So we bought a truck for TV20. It started probably 4 years ago, and it has had several iterations. We've paid for it, but we don't have it yet, so we're hoping that if there's any more changes TV20 wants, that's where that money would come from. That's 60 for trucks. And then under other equipment, as reflected on page 316, I think that is the continuation of TV setup, TV20. So there's been some set upgrades. I don't know if council's been over there. They're doing a great job. The new director and assistant director at TV20 are really, really doing a wonderful job. So they did some improvements in 2024 as reflected on 316. Building betterments, they're, I think, continuing to consider other equipment. Shoot. Yeah, TV cameras, mics, that kind of stuff for TV.
So this is basically for the upgrade of the
I was on the wrong
TV20
path.
set, and we purchased a new truck.
Correct.
For TV20.
Correct.
2 years ago, last year.
It was budgeted in 2022
20.
and every year subsequent. I think the expense was last year, majority of it.
Yeah, so the expense, we paid for majority of it over the last couple of years, and we anticipate receiving it in the second quarter of 2025.
So we have not gotten that truck yet,
We have
right?
not.
But we're anticipating needing upgrades to the truck, which is where other equipment comes from.
Not necessarily upgrades to the truck, but stuff in the truck that TV20 would use.
Where's it coming from, China? Where's it coming from?
It has
But-
to be built from the base up, so it could not start building until it was ordered.
So the TV20 truck is just like a regular TV truck, right? I mean, it's specialized. So there's not like TV trucks are just sitting around. It has to be built from the tires up to accommodate whatever they're going to need for communications, broadcasting, et cetera, correct?
And with the chairman to council, I mean, with the level of expense that we've already made on this truck, we want it to have the newest and best. We want, and the technology in what they do, what Director Bass Hawthorne does and her team does, is highly technical. And those toys evolve. So what we're budgeting for is to make sure that when we get it, it is state-of-the-art and serves the needs of our customers, citizens, and the city of Cleveland.
All right. That's all I have for Utilities General Administration. I'll open it up
Mr. Chairman.
to the floor. Councilman Polensek.
Thank you. You asked that question about the truck. So again, what's the date we should be getting it?
Second quarter of 2025.
So sometime after June,
Early summer.
early summer. Okay. On page 317, under charges for service and under miscellaneous, could you explain those two? There's been a big increase in both of those.
Chairman, to the council member, so charges for service of DPU admin, as is with DPU fiscal, is a percentage of the operating units that they support, specifically Division of Water, Cleveland Public Power, and Water Pollution Control. Those are the charges for services based on our budget and then a percentage of those operating budgets. The miscellaneous is the TV20 and photo reimbursement through the cable franchise fee.
Okay. Of the cable under miscellaneous, that would be cable franchise fee. Do we know how many customers there are in the city of Cleveland through the cable franchise fee?
Mr. Chairman? Director?
Yeah.
I would defer to, I don't know the cable franchise fee numbers. Like how many customers of it? I don't know.
But the 2.3 is all cable franchise?
That's the reimbursement.
Yep. Through the chairman to the councilman, in 2024, the general fund received about $2.3 million for the cable franchise fees from Spectrum and
AT&T?
I believe AT&T. And so all of that is going towards the TV20 and Photolab now.
Okay. Do they pay, Mr. Chairman, to whoever, do they pay a certain amount per customer? How is that determined?
That utilities does not know. That is a function of general fund. So I am not sure if we know.
Mr. Gentile?
To the chair of the council person, I believe it's a percentage of the billing to the customers.
If you could, I would make that request through the chair.
So we can
That
get
way
you
you can
that.
confirm that.
Brooke, do you have that? All right.
Okay. And then so this, when you look at your expenses and your revenue, we have, as it pertains to administration, we have it's balanced, correct?
Chairman of the councilman, yes.
And is that a requirement, or is that just the fact of the way it happens?
So like I said, through the chairman of the council member, those support
Right.
general admin, fiscal, although it's in the charter as a standalone, it's funded by the operating units.
Okay.
Is that it? Their budgets would balance.
Yes.
We charge back what we spend to support those operating divisions.
So within administration on page 317, are any of the administrators and officials there, are they specifically assigned, is there anyone assigned specifically to water, to CPP, to water pollution control?
There's no employees that
Through
are
the chair.
assigned through the chair to the councilman. There's no positions that are specifically towards water, specifically towards CPP, specifically towards WPC. All of the people that are in this, under the director's office, is supporting all three divisions.
Okay, so what is Executive Commissioner of Public Safety?
Chairman of the council members, so Executive Commissioner Danielle Graham is that individual. Unfortunately, under civil service, it is the Executive Commissioner of Public Safety. Every year it shows up here. Every year you ask. Every year I tell you that we wish we could fix it.
Yeah, I know.
So we're looking to figure that out. Administrative Bureau Manager, I don't give a name that doesn't say Public Safety because it's very confusing, but that is Danielle Graham, who I hope all of you know and is very, is great.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilman Kevin Conwell.
Thank you very much. You know what I don't like through the chair to the controller? On page 317, where you have miscellaneous, is there a way the next time you guys give us a budget to break that out? Because you have $2,386,277. I mean, you got miscellaneous, so miscellaneous what? What
Yeah. Oh.
Are you the controller there?
I am the CFO for utilities, yes.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So miscellaneous is all that is the reimbursement from the general fund for the for the TV 20 and photo lab. So that is what that is.
Is that everything that you just telling me, you narrating to me right now?
Yes.
Okay, so if we were to footnote what that is, because you're telling me now, and I like to go back and read budgets and all of my colleagues.
I like that that's what you're doing on your Fridays like I am.
Yeah. I mean, I'll read it. It's the numbers tell you the story. But if you were to footnote it down here, then we know. Some kind of category to footnote, because $2,386,000, that's a lot of money.
It is. We can work with the finance department to see if there's a better way to show that moving forward.
Okay, because I don't want to say, oh, that's miscellaneous. Let me go. Miscellaneous is what? You know, so that means something to me. Just in time, office supplies, you guys get your on page 316, you get your just in time from where? Who's doing that inventory for you?
There's a citywide contract with WB Mason.
So who are those people? What is, you guys give them a contract or something, or what? What's the story with that?
The citywide contract, the way it works on a daily basis is that we have several people throughout our department that have access to order stuff online. It is approved electronically through the system, and then it is delivered to our properties the next day, or the day after.
Yeah, that's just in time, and where you can control that inventory.
Right.
So let me ask you this question through the chair, to the CFO. I'm sorry, I forgot your name again. Troy. With this just in time, and you order, and I'm on a budget. You have a storekeeper, you have systems and control, you have I'm looking right now, you have inventory and control. How do you guys monitor and control that in all of public utilities? You have a huge job, Director. How do you monitor and control that? Because you're showing me this on money. This is money, it's an asset. So how do you monitor, going through the storekeeper, you know what I'm saying? Inventory control, purchasing and procurement, all of that, you just telling me just in time. But it's systems that go into place dealing with just in time. Through the chair, and now you.
Through the chair to the councilman, the just-in-time you're seeing here is office supplies, so they're only supposed to be ordering what is needed at the moment or in the immediate future. So we are watching it as they're ordering it. In terms of our bigger inventory, we do have software systems to help us maintain that inventory. We have people that are dedicated to reviewing and making sure the inventory is correct. In addition to their daily tasks, we are doing full counts about once a quarter, and then we do a more in-depth one to make sure we understand where everything is going about once a year, so that we are making sure everything is going according to plan.
You know what, through the chair, monitor that mainly, let's say quarterly or 6 months, something like that, so that you can see on a larger scale where everything is going, because it can get away from you dealing with tires, dealing with oil, dealing with gasoline, dealing with office and supplies, equipment, all those kind of things, so that we know if there's any glitches through the chair, because that's money. It's an asset.
Right. Through the chair to the councilman, one of our controls is actually through the budget. We know how much they have purchased in the past, how much we expect them to buy in the future. If anything is looking a little out of the ordinary, we are double checking and asking questions, make sure we understand what's going on. You'll see sometimes CPP will go up in certain items, and we make sure that we understand why those items are going up. So if they were doing additional work on a property that took additional wire that isn't traditional out there, then we are having those conversations back and forth throughout the year.
Yeah. So let me ask you this other question, to be nosy with it, because this is an asset and it's money. You got just in time here, but it's not just in time. It's when you order, are you looking at, sometime council, and I know it, I just don't say anything, when you give us for authorization, we got to put it in at the right time, because sometimes prices will fluctuate. Or if we don't put it in at the right time to vote on it, it make costs go up with your purchasing managers. You know, that's why you coughed on it. But I understand that, the authorization part of it. So on those purchasing orders, you look at, if you order, so let's say supplies, 40 pens, and they only have 20 pens, you go in there and you dig that out, right? So it won't go to anyone else later. Those purchasing orders, you take the supplies off of them, you see what's in back order. That's the word I'm looking for, back order. You guys monitor that as well?
We do throughout all three of our divisions. There are different lead times for different products that we have, so we are paying attention to them on a regular basis. So depending on what that is, some things we do have to order at different times. For example, for CPP, we do have to be aware of the seasons of hurricanes and wildfires, because
costs go
we
up.
have to make sure that the costs are at the appropriate level if we can, because they do go up during those times.
Speaking of cost, to the chair, so when you order things, are you looking at pricing, or are you looking at the quality first? Because sometimes the quality will make things, you have to spend less money. It'll slow you down for reordering, quality, service, you just mentioned with the fires, and pricing. That's where I look at some things.
So if we can, yes, we do have contracts for all these customers. We make sure that we put in the specs when we put it out to bid, to make sure that we have certain quality standards in play.
Yeah, that's important. So that way you don't have to reorder. You don't have to reorder, you got the quality, and then that widget will last longer.
Correct.
Service and pricing. Now let's move down to my last question here. Your judgments, it's on the same page, 316, judgments, damages, and claims. You have nothing there. You don't think residents call me all the time, and I call the director, Councilman, they tell me that the utility department broke their line, or whatever. You remember that, Director?
I do.
Right.
Chairman,
But you have nothing there for.
Well, again, this is utilities admin, so the operating units within admin, but you will see there's numbers there in the other divisions.
Right.
But under the
But you had
utilities
10,000
admin,
before.
we budget something in case it happens, but it hasn't happened. Yes, for contingencies, but historically, we're for 24 and budgeting 25, we don't anticipate anything.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Anybody else for Utilities General Admin?
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Jones.
Mr. Chairman, just a request for information. Here on page 314, do we know who is the executive commissioner?
I didn't hear the council.
Can you repeat that question, Councilman?
Mr. Chairman, to the director, who is the executive commissioner?
Chairman, to the council member, on the org chart reflected on 314, the executive commissioner is Danielle Graham.
Is who?
Danielle Graham, executive commissioner of the Department of Public Utilities.
And is DPU Support Services, that's a brand-new creation, the reason why it's in black? Is that a newly created, Mr. Chairman, to the director?
Chairman, to the council member, it's not new.
It's not new? Can I ask why is it in black? Why it stands out different from the rest?
Chairman, to the council member, simply because there's 2 units identified below support services.
I see.
We were asked to be concise in the org chart, so we tried to, I think it's the amount of space that it would take if it were all outlined in more detail, but happy to get you whatever you're looking for, Chairman, to the council member.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman, to Director. Just, if we know who these people are, that would be great, under this chart here from the administration.
Yeah,
You'll get
sure.
them the names of the org chart, right?
Yes.
You got that, Brooke?
And, Mr. Chairman, to the director on page 315, where it says professional services, I see that there's an increase.
Councilman, we already talked about that.
I know during my time, Mr. Chairman, it's the question
Yeah.
I'm asking. And
Chairman.
though it may have been covered previously, I'm asking again for my line of questioning on
So
this
we have to hear
line
it
item.
twice because you couldn't stay in the room.
Mr.
Director,
Chairman,
go ahead.
that's
Chairman.
disrespectful. It's my time. So I will remind the chair that I have my time. I can ask my questions regardless of who asked
Right, okay,
before
okay,
previously,
let's
Mr.
move
Chairman,
on.
according to our Robert Rules of Order.
Director, if you could repeat the same answer that you gave us earlier.
Chairman, to the council member, the professional services line item under contractual services as outlined on page 315, the increase in budget 2025 is associated with our Health and Safety Institute training, both online and paper-based for all of the employees of the Department of Public Utilities, our language line translation services at our call center, and also for our print brochures, and then our scanning services. There is an effort citywide to not have so much paper, and we need to participate, and we need to do better at the scanning of important documents. It's a Herculean effort. So we are participating in the state term contract for scanning, and that's reflected in the budget increase for 2025 on page 315.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that, the detailed breakdown that you have articulated, that can be found where?
In my testimony, through the chairman to the council member, you want me to write it down?
In the budget book, is there, or is that just, that's the explanation, but the issue of the breakdown, is that found somewhere here in the book? Or that's just what we're using here and it's just not listed here?
Oh, through the chairman of the council member, what I outlined, what is included under professional services, under contractual services for the Department of Public Utilities General Admin.
Yes.
That was my testimony. I'm happy to write it down.
Okay, that's fine. So if we could have that, Mr. Chairman, that would be appreciative. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, to the
Brooke, you have
director.
that?
And Mr. Chairman, I see that you're responsible for all of the various different utilities, and that covers everything, and that's all of the subsidiary organizations and operations. And Mr. Chairman, what is that totality of overall? Because I think that what we're showing here is that you have 99 people that help you to manage all of these different utility operations. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman, to the director looking at page 318?
Director.
Chairman to the council member, budgeted for 2025 for utilities general administration, we are seeking 99 head count.
And that's a huge increase from last year's numbers of 60.
60 is my understanding, the December 2024, but we were budget 2024 for 90, so it's a 9-person increase, 6 of which are outlined as student trainees, which we're taking from the Division of Water, and then the plus 3 to make it 9 are associated with TV 20. The freelance photographer that has transitioned to a full-time employee in 2024, and then and 2 additional. So 6 students plus 3 full-time at Channel 20 comes to 9, the 90 to the 99 for budget 25.
And Mr. Chairman, to Director Keene, I want to say that Channel TV 20 does a great job.
Agree. Thank you.
They're always out there. They always make sure that they come to the meetings, and they do a wonderful job, even covering our hearings that we have here for this week. So I don't have any further questions, Mr. Chairman, of the director on this budget.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Jenny Spencer.
Thank you. Actually, Mr. Chair, just a brief comment for our finance team that the green sheet that was passed out for general administration, so helpful to have that 2024 budget column. So really want to just underscore, hopefully future budget cycles, having that 2024 budget, 2024 actual, and 2025 budget is extremely helpful. So that's all, just for the good of the order. Thank you.
That's it?
Yep.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. If we can move to Utilities Fiscal Control. Brooke, can you read it in?
Page 319, Utilities Fiscal Control, Catherine M. Troy, Chief Financial Officer. Page 320, Salaries and Wages, 2024 unaudited, $4,923,173. 2025 budgeted, $5,645,205. Page 321, total expenditures, 2024 unaudited, $7,115,328. 2025 budgeted, $8,985,351. And page 322, number of employees December 2024, 72. Budgeted 2025, 83, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Director, on page 320, your full-time permanent has gone up by 700,000.
Chairman, yes, so headcount stays the same. We did have some vacancies in fiscal control through 2024 that we hope to fill in 2025, which then is reflective in the increase in full-time permanent salaries and wages.
All right, and then further down under contractual services, professional services, you're going from 4,800 to 100,000.
Yes, Chairman, and I thought I had the budget 24 book. I think that we usually have a placeholder that is there to take care of the bank tech OPEX machines that are in fiscal control in Troy's shop that open all the customers' payments and process them in the banks, but also our Kent State relationship for employee trainings and continuing education. Credit card processing? I'll let Troy talk.
We are anticipating that there's some people in our group that are going to be on significant leave. So we have budgeted for some temporary services while those personnel are gone because we need to have full staffing in those areas.
And these are the people that open the bills and collect checks if possible, or?
Some of those, as well as in this budget, is all the inventory personnel.
Okay.
So we need to make sure that the inventory locations are fully staffed for when operations needs them.
And then I think what I'm getting at is there's a lot of sensitive information, personal information that comes across
There definitely
DPU,
is.
right, with
Yes.
everything. So I just want to make sure that we're not using temporary help or going out to get temps to cover that aspect of the operations under fiscal.
For those items, no, we do everything in-house and all those people are trained.
Okay, all right, just making sure on that. Page 321, under maintenance contracts, we've increased our maintenance contract.
Yes, Chairman. This is for our bank tech and IBML agreements. So they are our systems to process all of the checks. So there is a maintenance aspect to all those systems that come in and they clean them and make sure everything is in working order.
All right, and then under your capital outlay, we have nothing set for computers, correct? But then other equipment, we're budgeting 176,000.
Yes, Chairman, it looks like some of our machines are significantly older, and it might behoove us to replace them in 2025. We have not made that final decision yet, but we want to make sure if we do, that we have the initial funding to do so.
And then under revenues, there's a significant drop-off in interest earnings and investment income.
Yes, so this is based on the amount of cash that we have in the bank. We have been doing a review of how much money we have at any point in time. So we try to leave as much in the operations funds as possible, as long as possible. And so that is why that's down, as well as we try not to overestimate this because we want to make sure that we are getting the full recovery from the user divisions if needed.
All right, I'm going to open it up to questions now for my colleagues. Councilwoman Jenny Spencer.
Mr. Chairman, can you put me down?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I should know this by now as your vice chair, but wanting to confirm in terms of understanding the head count overall here, is all billing for all divisions handled through fiscal control, meaning individual customer billing through the chair?
Through the chairman to the councilwoman, all the billing is actually maintained by the user divisions. So water and CPP have their individual billing personnel that we work closely with.
Okay, so for example, the IT component that was mentioned, would fiscal control be setting up those contracts and that technology for purposes of billing? Is that an example of that interplay there?
I mean,
through the chair.
There are a lot of people involved in that whole process. The IT aspect is in both admin, water, and CPP specific, depending on what their projects are, as well as the customer services side of the operations and fiscal control, making sure that everything is working properly. So those individual divisions are responsible for the billing side. Fiscal control is responsible for the payments and applying them to the individual accounts.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues. What is your exact title?
Chief Financial Officer of Department of Public Utilities.
Okay. I do not agree with your assessment on page 321 of the interest.
What page, Mr. Chairman?
321.
Clarification.
I just sat down with one of my children and who had a CD come due, and we're sitting down shopping for the highest interest rate. Now, I don't know about anybody else around here, but that's what I do. If I have funds, like with my son, we sat down and we're shopping where he could put his money in for the highest interest rate. Why aren't we doing the same thing? I don't get that. I don't understand that explanation.
Director?
Chairman, to the council members, so it's important that, so utilities fiscal control, as in general administration,
Yes.
our dollars come from the user division.
Exactly.
So if we budget appropriately, that money isn't sitting in any of our accounts and gathering interest or interest income, right? It wants to stay in Division of Water, Cleveland Public Power, Water Pollution Control, and when we budget, we better be accurate so it's not sitting around gaining interest. You'll see interest income in the user divisions for those places which we at general admin and fiscal control take our budgets. But if you saw a big number there, then we're not doing our job well enough to accurately budget and spend that budget on an annual basis if it's sitting there and you know, I mean, that's the true explanation. But you'll see interest income on the user divisions, substantial. So that's where we, with Treasury and Finance, find the best use of our customers' dollars.
So then I'm going to, when I get the CPP, Water Pollution Control, I'm going to see a plus somewhere between those two, Division of Water, water pollution control, and CP, I'm going to see a plus somewhere of $290,000. Is that what I'm going to see? Because right now you went from 290,000 to 10 grand.
Right.
So
Budget in 2025 through the chairman to the
Right.
council member, right? But the
Okay.
290, because that money was assigned from the user divisions to fiscal control.
I understand
And sat
that.
there for some time.
But on the other side of the equation, then we should see a bump.
Sure.
And we haven't got to the 3 divisions yet, but I would expect to see a bump then in all their interest income.
Assuming
Okay.
all other things are equal, yes, you would see a bump.
Okay, well, I'm looking for the bump, okay? So when we get into those other divisions, I'll leave it at that point, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Are you done? All right. Councilman Joe Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking at this department here, pretty much offers fiscal control and supports the various different divisions, correct, Mr. Chairman, to the director?
Chairman to the council member, that's correct.
And that would be the water pollution control, Cleveland Public Power, radio communications. Is this department, this chief fiscal officer, is she responsible for gathering information on the health of our various different utilities? Or where would that be? Would that be in this budget, or would that be here, or would that be something else? Or they're just handling the paperwork? Are they handling the operations, the day operations on this? How does this department play in subsequently when we start moving through this book to the other departments?
Director.
Chairman to the council member, you're correct. So, but not, yes, daily operations, annual operations, the legal responsibilities as a fiduciary of our customer's dollar rests on the CFO of the Department of Public Utilities. So certainly a tremendous amount of responsibility by way of audit, by way of reporting, by way of bonding on a daily but significant, or on an annual basis as well.
I see. And you know, for the different utilities that you're responsible fiscal control over, how is the health of these utilities? Is there any information that tells us, you know, where we are, how we're doing, some type of snapshot on our performance, you know, as relates to the funds that are coming in and revenues that are actually being generated?
Chairman to the council member, so certainly in the expense and revenues are outlined at what we budget for 2025, but as to the financial health of the respective divisions, I would refer to the operational hearings in November and our Moody's and S&P ratings that are issued to us by outside rating agencies, which are well above industry standards. So the financial health of our operation is great. Not only as reflected internally in this budget, but worldwide in S&P and Moody's when you can't find utility systems with higher grades, but that is also with the support of City Hall Finance and the Finance Director. We can't do much without them. But that, I would think, is maybe your question through the chairman of the council.
Is some of it, Mr. Chairman, to the director. You know, my concern is, I know that the council, through ARPA funding, put programs available to pay for people's utility bills. So my question would be, Mr. Chairman, to the director, when we look at our utility, in particular Cleveland Public Power, and I know that the chairman has made a number of inquiries on major projects coming into the city of Cleveland. Those utilities should be used in those projects. And so the question I would have, Mr. Chairman, to the director, and if you have any information, I know I've talked about this for quite some time, the vision and the future of Cleveland Public Power is something that is near to me and dear to me. So I have some questions on that, but what I would do, Mr. Chairman, I don't mind having a conversation with the director as relates to that particular utility as to save time here at the table.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
That's it? All right. Thank you, Councilman Jones. Councilman Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Councilwoman Spencer started to walk down this road, but I'm not sure if I got to the answer I had, or to the question I had. So through the chair to Chief Troy. On page 319, we have output metrics for payments processed, and that number in 2024 is down 676,000. And then I noticed that on page 321 with the revenues, the 2024 revenue is down $1 million from 2023. So I guess my question is, does this look like we're losing customers and revenue, or did I miss the answer to this? And I sincerely apologize if I did.
Yes, it means
Through the
that.
chair to the councilman, it is an actual mistake on my staff's part. The numbers that you see in the book are through November 30th. The December 31st numbers are 7.8 million payments processed for 2024.
Oh, so payment process is up in 2024 over 2023. Okay, great. So then that only leaves the question of the charges for services then going down in 2024 as compared to 2023. And maybe I'm conflating these things. But
So the charges for 2024 versus prior years, all of our charges for services are, what we spend is paid by the 3 user divisions. So if fiscal control does not spend, we do not take the money from the user divisions.
okay, and this was your answer earlier when you said you were consolidating the payments between the different.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. Mr. Chairman, I have to take a point of privilege. My very capable and excellent executive assistant, Cindy Rice, will absolutely kill me if I don't take a moment to shower Cheryl and Oliver and Shelley Shockley with praise. I know we're not supposed to do that, but those 2 ladies are outstanding, and our office relies on them on an almost daily basis. They handle calls, they handle questions, they get us answers quickly and efficiently, and they are absolute lifesavers in Ward 13. And on behalf of the people of Old Brooklyn, I want to thank them for their work and service to the city of Cleveland.
Agree.
Duly noted. Anything else? All right, thank you, Councilman Harsh. Any other questions for fiscal control? All right, seeing none, if we can move on to the Office of Radio Communications.
Page 393, Office of Radio Communications, Administrative Manager Brad A. Hankey. Page 394, Salaries and Wages, 2024 unaudited, $411,141. 2025 budgeted, $718,979. Page 395, total expenditures, 2024 unaudited, $3,952,633. 2025 budgeted, $9,417,649. And page 396, number of employees, December of 2024, 6, budgeted 2025, 12. Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Director, Radio Communications, I know that they're beefing up over there, but full-time permanent?
Yes, Chairman. So yes to the budget 2025, but also please recognize the unaudited 2024, very low, but there were 2 employees that were onboarded later in 2024. So, and we are budgeting for 2 new employees in 2025. So that's the increase. It was very low. We built up, but not quick enough in 24, so it's not reflected in the unaudited 24, but hopefully budget 25 will be fully staffed.
All right, under contractual services, professional services, huge boost there.
Yes, Chairman. So with council's support, there was a citywide radio upgrade for what I believe was specific to the Department of Public Safety, but you'll see it in your books for port control, public works, public safety, for Motorola upgrades specific to safety applications, mobile computer dispatch, smart locations, push-to-talk, and remote programming. Office of Radio Communications did the work, and you're going to see that they'll up. The same with materials and supplies on the next page. It's all associated with the Motorola upgrades. It goes through Radio Communications at Department of Public Utilities and then gets paid charged back, which you'll see under revenue, miscellaneous revenue. So a long way of saying new Motorola contracts that my understanding is public safety came to council. Council supported, huge effort to upgrade the radios citywide. DPU does the work. Well, Brad and his team of wonderful city employees does the work.
All right, and then under utilities, telephone. So we've been seeing the upcharge. Been seeing an uptick in the amount that's being charged back through telephone. Is that to help offset the cost of purchasing the 800 megahertz?
So the utilities telephone, no, that is specific to DPU, and we're in the process of upgrading our hardware and network telecom system. It's not really through the Office of Radio Communications, but IT. So IT is running the consolidation of and upgrading of our telephone systems DPU-wide. So that's that telephone, which is different than the charges for telephone exchange that I know somebody's going to ask about.
Right.
this
So
hearing.
throughout the book, we're seeing an increase in telephone exchange.
Yes.
Right. And the chargeback for telephone.
Well, and I don't mean to, Chairman,
No.
there's two different, the telephone is outlined under utilities on page 394. That's DPU specific, our telecommunications network throughout the multiple divisions and throughout the county and the other counties that we serve. The telephone exchange as outlined on page 395 under interdepartmental. I don't know. I'm going to let Troy talk about it, hopefully.
Troy can
Yep. So actually, radio communications is not expecting any upgrades, so their numbers are actually pretty close in 2025. As we go to the other three divisions, you will see some fluctuation that we can talk about when we get to those individual divisions.
Okay, throughout the book, and then maybe for Mr. Gentile, and I know Council President mentioned it yesterday or the day before about the increase in telephone charges under utilities for every department. Do we know what that is related to?
Yeah, through the chair, to the chair and the committee, the telephone exchange, if you look at the actual budget year to year, it's about the same, but the actuals came in last year less. So when you're looking at the actuals from 24 to what's budgeted in 25, there are big increases from the expenses to this year's budget. So again, what we do for all internal service funds, we take a look at what they plan on spending for the year, and then it's all allocated back to each department to sort of break even. So budget to budget is about the same, but the actuals in 2024 came in a little bit less. And once telecom comes to the table with the finance department, Commissioner Kim Wilson or the CIO should be able to help us in addition to add some more context to that.
So, Mr. Gentile, are we over budgeting for telephone?
To the chair, to the chair, I don't believe so. I think it'll be a good conversation once telecom comes. They'll come with finance, and I'll prepare them, to speak to their budget and why this increase you'll see throughout the book in a lot of divisions.
All right, all right. Do you have a question on that? On that?
Not on telephone exchange.
Okay,
Yes.
well, hang on, let us get through the rest of it first then. I thought you had one right on this.
No, it's
Do you have one,
395, I have
Council
one.
President? Are you good with the telephone stuff? Just, okay. All right, professionals, did we go over professional services? From 1900 to 556?
Yes, Chairman, that's the Motorola
Oh, that's the- okay.
applications, all of those upgrades.
All right, on page 395, under materials and supplies, your bottom budget is more than $100,000 more.
Yes, Chairman. So materials and supplies as reflected on 395 from 167 to 275. All of those line items, the hardware, small tools, small equipment, supplies, and just-in-time are associated with the significant effort of the Motorola upgrades in every radio used in the city of Cleveland. So we did have to make a percentage upgrade, increase in the materials and supplies for the Office of Radio Communications.
All right, under your capital outlay, we already went over the radio equipment, but the other equipment where there's a $2 million increase?
That's specific to the 800 megahertz system. So we are on top of the installation of radios and the maintenance of new radios. The 800 megahertz system, which is the framework by which all of these emergency communications pass over, is the responsibility of the Office of Radio Communications, and that is a system upgrade for redundant and cloud something. I can't read my own writing. Cloud Prime Set.
We're also priming some of our sites because we need to do towers. We need to get replacement towers.
All right. But we know that the money, when we passed the legislation to upgrade the motor, I believe that was ARPA dollars to pay for it, correct? And now the Office of Radio Communications, I don't know who paid for it. Did the Office of Radio Communications pay for those? Even though, because it came through utilities to purchase those, right?
We did not, through the chairman, it didn't, the authority didn't rest on us to go and engage. We have a Motorola contract, but the expansion of, I thought was public safety. I didn't sign it. We have our local Motorola contract. I think the director of public safety signed it, the contract for the radio expansions, and then that was citywide or through finance. But again, the payback comes from all of those user divisions. So whoever got ARPA, whoever paid for it, it comes back and makes us whole on the miscellaneous chargeback. Okay. That is public safety, airport, public works, anybody that has a radio. That's why you see $7 million increase under miscellaneous.
And that was my next thing, the miscellaneous revenues.
Yes, so that's the chargeback to the user divisions. I don't know the source of the dollars. To be honest, I don't know ARPA to general fund to operating fund, but I do know the enterprise fund is made whole under that miscellaneous chargeback from the user divisions.
All right. All right, I'm going to open up to questions. Councilman Polensek.
Thank you. I'm just going to, I know I know you're going to break, Mr. Chairman, but on the page 395, so the same argument holds true for interest earnings here as well, correct? That you made it under
Chairman
fiscal?
of the council member, correct, yes.
Okay.
They don't have bank accounts sitting there.
I got you. I'm ready for the other three divisions when they come up, man.
Troy's ready for you, too.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is that it?
That's it.
Nice. Anybody else on Office of Radio Communications? Councilman Conwell.
Definitely. Dealing with the communications, I want to piggyback on page 395, radio equipment again. With the technology, you guys have you should bring it to us, either with the chairman here or in finance, your technology strategic plan. I mean, you just didn't it's kind of hard for me to talk with you, Director, because I've served with you for so long, and I actually know you, and we're friends, but you have a strategic plan for technology, and radio is in there, and your CFO mentioned other technologies that you use, and what is like radio towers and things like that, and that way we could correlate it with your spending. To the chair, to the director, can you bring that to us? Because you have some other things you're going to spend dollars on also. This radio piece to $1,900,000 didn't just happen.
Correct. Yes, we'll happy to get you all the detail you want on the radio. Chairman to the council member.
In your technology strategic plan, you do one for water.
Everything, yes.
Right, you do it for CPP, you do it for that, and that could tell us some things. You can get it for us, is that true? Through the chair, to the director.
Chairman to the councilman, sure, yes.
All right,
You have
Of
that,
course.
Brooke? All right.
All right.
Is that it? All right, thank you. All right, at this time,
Mr. Chairman, I asked to be put down.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. Councilman Joe Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking at page 395, Mr. Chairman, to the director, I noticed that on both of these line items, in terms of capital outlay, radio equipment and other equipment, can you tell us why the increase is so significant from last year over to this year in both of those categories?
Director, can you explain that again?
Chairman to the council member, so on the radio equipment, that's the replacement of console and mobile unit costs for the divisions of and the 800 megahertz upgrade. So as you upgrade, you have to update the equipment. So that's the radio equipment upgrade for budget 2025.
And
I'm sorry, radio.
Is that for all, Mr. Chairman? Is that for all of our utilities, or just for radio?
Yes.
I mean, does this go to like more than one department? These upgrades.
Yes.
Okay. So we're
Chairman to the councilman, yes.
So where are the when you say yes, what departments are getting these upgrades? Is it all of them or just some of them?
Any chairman to the council member, anybody that uses a radio.
I see. So
And just not in utilities, throughout the whole
Correct.
city.
just out of utilities.
No,
And these,
no, not just out of utilities.
Airport, public
Throughout the
works,
whole
public
city.
safety.
for the whole city.
Yeah, that's why.
So,
Yes.
so yeah, and that's what, now, is this out of, this is actually out of the general fund, is that correct, Mr. Chairman to the Director?
Chairman to the council member,
No, this is the subsidiary budget portion.
Chairman to the council member, correct.
Okay. And so then, Mr. Chairman, looking at this here and seeing that huge increase, and that I presume you're servicing everybody, it's a daunting task, to say the least, to see that increase in here. How soon will all of the radios be upgraded? Will that just be for this year, or will it be an ongoing task? Do we
Sure.
look to see this continue moving forward in subsequent budgets?
Chairman to the councilman, not from a budget standpoint, other than maintenance, once they're installed properly and appropriately and charged back to the user division, the maintenance of which will fall on radio communications, but again, those associated costs would be charged back,
I see.
charged back to radio communications. You
And-
see it in everybody else's budget.
Yes.
Airport, public works, yeah, got it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman to Director. Where it says complete removals on 393, can you elaborate on that? What is that, complete removals? You got 291.
Page 393, complete, removal of, Chairman to the council member, I apologize. Complete removals is the removal of old radios from a truck, car, van, asset.
And then you install the new ones, I presume.
When requested by other, through the chairman to the council member, yes.
And the same thing with radio, would be the same thing with radio installs, too. All right. So no further questions, Mr. Chairman, on Office of Radio Communications.
All right, thank you, Councilman. All right, at this time, we're going to break for lunch, and we'll come back to do the three-user, water pollution control, clean public power. If everybody could be back in the room at 1 o'clock. Thank you.